What time is it, your boys, David and Jacko at the Irish Hotspur? Welcome back for another fan phone-in show ahead of what I dub the European Decider tomorrow, which I cannot wait for. But before we get into some talking points, my man Jacko, how are you keeping, sir?
Doing all right, Dave, until I saw that list that we're going to bring up later on, the banners when it comes to Mr. Harry Kane. Even though I'm not as, avid of a Harry Kane, let's say, I'm a Harry Kane lover, but you're more, I would say, an expert / enthusiast, really in the scholarly, pursuit of Harry Kane. But that list that we're going to dive into later and maybe show to some of the fans, Dave, it's actually, I wouldn't say it's exactly, just completely ruined my day, but it's definitely just kind of it's almost worse than a head scratcher. It's more like a one that makes your brain hurt, type of a list. So I would say, like I said, morning not ruined or anything, but you definitely just made my brain hurt, for a little bit. Might need, an extra coffee or maybe a glass of water or something like that. But we'll get into it later, Dave. I'm doing all right. I kind of was struggling with the title as well for this fan show today because I felt like, it was like Aston Villa versus Spurs. It's like, that's what you start with because it is a big game. Like it is sort of like, maybe if you still care like at all and you still think there is something to sort of care about and finish for, this is absolutely a massive game, if you're in that sort of end of it. Mm-hmm. And so this is sort of like the end all be all. We're at the final stages of the season. If we do end up getting a good result here, you can keep powering on and maybe you can, keep sort of caring for the rest of these games. But like I said, it's a big sort of, end all be all type game. But then it kind of made me think is it really all just for the conference league? Is it all just for, I didn't really want to write in the title battle for the conference league after Aston Villa versus Tottenham. So decide to put in some other ones as well with the Kulusevski thing, which is I also think is a bit odd too. But yeah, Dave, I'm all over
pulling my hair out with some of the stuff I'm seeing the last few days, Jacko, like the Kulusevski thing yesterday, Harry Kane being snubbed today. I mean, it's just pulling my hair out. But look, Jack, I know you didn't want to put in the title about, the battle for the Europa Conference League. But look, that's where we're at this season. That Europa League and Europa Conference League is the best we can achieve. But realistically, if we beat Aston Villa, Europa League is out of our hands. It all depends on how Brighton do. Now, look, it is worth noting that they do have the top three still to play: Arsenal, Newcastle, and City. So we're hoping somewhere along the lines there that they can do us a favour and we win our remaining 3 games, and hopefully it's enough for us to be able to take a Europa League spot. But look, if we're in the Conference League, I don't care. We're not in a position where we can snub trophies at this club. For me, you're in it, you take it seriously, and you go for it. You use it as a building block. You win that. If you don't make Champions League in the league next season, you go into the Europa League. You win that, If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. You look at Jose Mourinho with Porto, won the Europa League, went on to win the Champions League. Sort of been there, done that. Now he's going back and he's redoing it. Europa Conference League, could do the Europa League and stuff like that. So it's absolutely madness. So for me, I don't think we can turn our nose up at it. If we're in it, we should want to win it. Let's take a few people in the comments and let's get into some of the talking points. Big up Jazzy Fusion says stick with anything not involving Dier. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. I mean, if I see him in the lineup at Villa, I actually think for once I might just have to not watch a game. I genuinely don't think I can take it anymore because, seeing how good it was without him, seeing how solid we were without him, seeing that guy back in there will absolutely ridicule me. And I know exactly what's going to happen as soon as he comes back in. But you know what? This will give, I think, the answer to my question that I posed last week. Ryan Mason said going into the game, these players are playing for the futures. Now, interestingly enough, he dropped Dier. Does that mean he's hiding Dier from playing for his future? Well, if he comes back in against Aston Villa, I think he was. So let's wait and see.
It's like giving you a clean sheet, Dave, was like, it's like maybe a little too much all at once after you were sort of deprived of good defending for so long. Maybe you were, it's like, not having ice cream for months. And then all of a sudden, you were given a triple scoop, with fudge and, all the trimmings and everything. And maybe it's just a little bit too much all at once. And now you're just sort of like, being told no ice cream, ever again. And maybe, maybe it was too much all at once, Dave. Maybe that good of a defensive performance was not what you needed because it's now just too much clarity. It's too obvious. It's just way too obvious that's going to cause you pain now.
Jack, last year, the missus asked me to write a Christmas list, 3 things you want. First, clean sheet. Second, clean sheet. Third, clean sheet. It's all I wanted. She couldn't deliver it for me, but somehow Mason did. So thank you, Mason. Just hopefully no Eric Dier tomorrow, my man. Big up Tequila, says Jacko. Jacko, give us a clap and a smile.
We love you, Tottenham.
Jacko,
We do.
give us a clap. Love it. Love it, Tequila. Big up Zoe as well. Great to see you. Hopefully you are keeping well, my dear. Good to see you in the building. We also have Rory Woods Comedy. Rory, my man, how are you keeping, sir? Let me know what you're up to nowadays. I haven't spoke to you in quite some time. Remember you had a channel. Let me know how it's going. I was on it. I done an appearance with you. I thought we had a good chat, my man. So big yourself up. Let me know how you're doing, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well.
Legend.
Big up, Mark P. Afternoon, boys. Big up, sir. How are you keeping? Jason Bell, big up, lads. I want to see a win regardless of what is at stake.
Yeah, I think he's probably referring to, maybe if we lost or let's say didn't get what we needed in this match, that maybe there's really nothing to sort of care about or play for. And Jason's kind of in that boat where regardless, he just wants to see Spurs sort of win. And I kind of probably at the end of the day, being the happy clapper I am sort of the same way. But if we're really sort of like playing for anything, I guess, yeah, playing to win, always playing to win, no matter the circumstances. That's probably right. Have some respect at the end of the day. Never go to the beach.
Maybe we could change our new motto from to dare is to do. No one seems to buy into it. So how about we change it to, play to win? Let's see if people buy into that. Eddie from Dubai, hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Says a great stream. As always, lads, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Eddie. Hopefully Dubai is treating you well, sir. Must be warm out there today, buddy. Must be warm. Big up, Jay Cole. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Big up, Bob. Hi, guys. I think we have been very good under Mason, and I really rate Mason. Big up. Do you know what, for me, my man, I'm a bit dubious on Mason. It's kind of like both times he stepped in, it's after the dressing room was sort of clamored together against the previous manager. And then it's very easy once you've sort of got what you wanted to pull together and go on and win, to make it not look like it's you're not your fault, that it's the previous manager's fault. With Mason, I'm a bit dubious on the situation. I'm trying to work out, is he as good as many people are saying he is? Or is it just that fact that he's sort of, how do I put it? How do I put it? Or is it the fact that, it's just sort of like new manager bounce, two big personalities have left, and it means people can sort of be themselves again. It's a hard one. It's a hard one when it comes to Ryan Mason.
For me, I think it's Elias here. Big up Elias in Norway. I think another man in Norway. I think the Norway army is strong tonight. Big up, my man. And I think for me, Dave, I just sort of feel like Mason hasn't exactly done anything all that wrong. I think, like I've said before, he hasn't made himself look like an idiot. He's sort of, made himself look quite competent for the most part. And he's made himself look a lot better than, let's say, a Steven Gerrard or the likes of a Frank Lampard or anything. Like, he's taken, what is sort of a club in disrepair, or, a squad in disrepair and not the best of times in both situations, and has sort of made a pretty decent go at it considering the circumstances given to him. What I would say, though, is like always, I think you should go through the traditional route of kind of learning your craft, of sort of like going to other sort of leagues as well as different sort of size clubs, and sort of just going about it like a lot of successful managers have. I mean, as much as people maybe slate Jose and Antonio Conte now, I mean, they did start from what is, even for sort of like Antonio Conte, I mean, he was a former player, but he still started at quite a low level, in the Serie, in Italy, right? And he had to work his way up. And Jose Mourinho, we all know, worked his way up. So I think guys like Ryan Mason, who clearly have a lot of talent, should also, look at that and, consider taking on a bunch of different sort of jobs before looking at the Spurs job. Then again, though, Harry Kane had some pretty high praise for him. He said, getting back to the roots, getting back to, what sort of the values, right? He brought up the principles that was, under Maurizio Pochettino. He said Ryan Mason is starting to kind of restore some of those. So he had some pretty high praise for Mr. Mason, Harry Kane.
I mean, look, Jack, it's easy to install something when there's nothing there in it, Like, for me, I mean, Look, what I mean by that is it's like it's easy to build a house when there's no house there, right? It's harder to build a house when you have to use this sort of existing house. Look, with Mason, I do feel if we give him the job, I do think next year he will be found tactically wanting, because I think, there'll be a lot more analysis on him, a lot more analysis on his tactics and stuff like that. And I do feel he'll end up being found tactically wanting if we give him the job full time. And for me, I think he needs to go away somewhere else to learn his craft, and that when he does get found out tactically, what answers has he got to that? And for me, we're just not at a point where we can take that risk, in my opinion. We're just not.
Yeah.
Big up Daniel as well. Good to see you, sir. Big up Davy Clark. He says that ex-Leicester City coach us waiting by his phone nearly 50 days and leave. He hasn't found the coach. Yeah, Rodgers.
We also have a Rangnick as well, kind of waiting by the phone. He seems very desperate for a job as well. Brendan Rodgers and Ralph Rangnick.
Yeah. Look, Rodgers, let's wait and see what happens. Very quiet on him at the minute. It could be a done deal. Big up Carl Higgins. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Big up Matthew. Hopefully you're keeping well as well, sir. Big up the disabled team. Great to see you, my man. Big yourself up, brother. Also big up Mr. Evelyn as well. Also quickly just big up to John Fitzpatrick. Hopefully you and the young family are doing well down under, sir. Leighton Evelyn, good afternoon, my man. Hopefully you are keeping well. Let me know what one you're twerking for, Leighton. Do you want Europa Conference League or do you want the UEFA Cup? Because
or nothing at all.
You're twerking for one.
We love you, Leighton. We do.
We do.
We love you, Leighton. We do.
We do. We love you, Leighton. We do. We're your favorite happy clappers. Big up, Leighton. Hopefully you're keeping well. Do you know what? I do love the banter, but when you catch me in a bad mood, I take it more as a jab and I fight back and everything else. But when I'm in a good mood, I take it as pure banter. So pick yourself up, Leighton. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Love it. Love it. He's always here to keep us in check, Leighton. He never lets us get too far ahead of ourselves.
I think he's not liking how nice we are, maybe even as well. Yeah, he's saying no pushback at all. He's saying nothing at all from us. Yeah. Or maybe he's talking about Europe. Yeah, Leighton, I think it's probably talking about Europe. Yeah, nothing at all European. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel like most managers, even the guy we're coming up against tomorrow, Unai Emery, has benefited from no Europe at all. So something to think about too. But I'm desperate. I'm a happy clapper, and I got to clap in every competition I can, Leighton.
Big up, Leighton. We've not to sing about today, so may as well sing about you, my man. Keith Edwards says need a Euro place to get in the right players. Yeah, look, I'll be honest, I'm not sure, Europa Conference League, Europa League is too much of a difference to some players, to be honest with you. But look, we got Romero when we weren't in the Champions League. So, you offer the right money, they like the manager, the players will come. It's that simple, Keith. Big yourself up, my man. And then we've also got Donovan. Big up, Donovan. Come on, you Spurs.
Legend.
Ryan Guardiola Mason. Bit far there, Donovan. Bit far. Maybe you haven't hit the gym yet today. Maybe you're tired, my man, but that's a bit far.
I would say he's looking like a Ryan Van Mason, Ryan De Mason, maybe at the moment, but I wouldn't say he's reached Guardiola levels at the moment. He's looking quite Dutch, though. He is.
Oh, love it.
He's also got the tracksuit and everything. He's got the hoodies.
Love it. I love them shades he wears. They're awesome. And Carl Higgins says, I think you're right, Dave. They've improved a little because they all want to divert the blame. Wasn't me. My feeling is it will soon revert. I mean, look, they picked up under Jose Mourinho for a while, made Poch look like the problem. Then, don't know, somehow, we made Jose look like a problem near the end. They bring in Nuno, get off to a good start. Everyone's thinking, oh, yeah, Jose was just a meanie-weenie. Then that falls under Nuno. Conte comes in, they pick it up under Conte, and it completely falls off a cliff this season. And no one can tell me that Eric Dier, Ben Davies, or Davinson Sanchez hit the levels that they showed last season, and that's a massive part to do with it. So it just goes to show you that, these things happen in football. And I'll also, I'd send people this, actually type in Off the Ball on YouTube, Graham Souness interview. Very interesting what he has to say about the modern day manager. Very, very interesting, by the way. I encourage a lot of people to listen to it. A great insight to maybe what's going on at football clubs with players and stuff like that. Very interesting, because now he ain't contracted to Sky. This guy's talking. So, very interesting interview, I will say. Karen, Big up Hotspur J as well. Great to see you. Big up, lads. David, good to see you on Chris Cowland's show yesterday. Do you know what? It was great to be on, my man. Very good to be back there. You know, I used to be on there for quite some time. You got some good chats and all. But look, you know, I became very busy and stuff like that. But it was great to get back over there. And look, who knows? Hopefully you guys will see more of me. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has got over and supported me and stuff like that yesterday. It does not go unnoticed. You people are the reason why I'm put into them positions in the first place. So thank you so much. But yeah, hopefully I've done the Irish Hotspur Army justice. Big up.
Gave some good answers. I saw on Ryan Mason, Dave. I liked your answers there. You had a little bit of sort of context. Maybe you didn't exactly go, you know, you brought the praise. I think you mentioned that thing we like to say where it's like, yeah, he hasn't made himself look silly, you know, thus far. But, you know, you don't want to exactly give him the keys to the palace, you know, for that, you know, alone. Right. And then I think you had some good points, of course, about Eric Dier exactly as well. And you were, you know, very, you know, you came off very well, you know, with Eric Dier, Dave. You know, you sort of felt like, you know, you were hitting your, you know, you looked like a politician. Yeah, you looked like a politician with Eric Dier, you know, just, you know, slamming your agenda points in there, but, you know, nice and softly, you know, well mannered. Well done, sir.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. A big up, Hotspur J. Hopefully you enjoyed my input, my man. Big yourself up. We've got Adrian Chia says, big up, lads. Just because a plumber is able to fix a few leaky pipes successfully doesn't mean we should hire a plumber to go rebuild an entire house. Jack, I think that's off my analogy about it's easy to put something in place when there's nothing there, right? You know,
I think even David Clark feels the same way as well. As him make a similar comment about the plumber, you know, being put in charge. And exactly, like maybe he was being put in, Adrian, you know, he's been put in charge to be the plumber. He's been put in charge. Just, we have a leaky faucet. We have a whole, you know, disrepaired house in general. But, you know, he's been brought in just to do that one job. And it is a major job, but just sort of just to repair, you know, what is that leaky faucet and, you know, what is the bad pipes. But you don't ask him to then all of a sudden just do other things that are completely, you know, maybe outside his sort of, you know, his expertise, or even just sort of too big of jobs for him. Things that he's going to have to learn on the go. And you never want to have a manager that's sort of learning, you know, how to do things on the go. That was the case also with Mikel Arteta, right? As much as people love Arteta now, like he very much was a manager that came off as a guy that was sort of learning things on the go, like, you know, throughout his time there. It felt like, you know, he would make big mistakes, kind of learn from them and kind of maybe come back a better person from them. But do you really want to go through that sort of trial and testament with the plumber? I'm not sure. I think you got to get in, you know, the carpenter. You got to get into William Kelly, Dave. I think you got to get in here. A guy, you know, who can look at the whole house and be able to build it from the ground up.
And look, I don't want to come across as disrespectful to Mason, because the reality is, you know, he's took on two sort of tough asks and he's done it, you know. He hasn't shied away from it. I don't want to come across as disrespectful to Mason. It's just he's not the guy to take us forward. And I made this point on Chris Cowland yesterday, actually, where it's like we understand that we need young manager, fresh approach, fresh ideas to the game, etc., play the modern way, right? But the reality is there's more managers that are younger than him or in and around Ryan Mason's age that has a lot more experience than what he does. Like you've got Arne Slot, right? Relatively sort of youngish, you know, but more experienced than Mason, but not enough experience to take the Tottenham job. You've got Xavi Alonso, maybe a bit older than Mason, but again, you know, he's only had a season at Leverkusen. You know, not experienced enough for the Tottenham job, but more experienced than Mason. But then you've got Naglesmann, who, you know, he's 38, younger than Ryan Mason, but a hell of a lot more experience. So what I'm saying to people is that there's better candidates out there for what we're looking for the job, with better credentials to be able to come in here and do something, rather than take a gamble on Ryan Mason, because Ryan Mason's a huge gamble. If he gets appointed in this current climate, 85% of this fan base will not accept it. They will not. They will not have it. You know, right now, Spurs fans need something that they can get behind, that they can believe in, a vision that they can see going forward. And I do think you will have a proportion of the fan base that will give Mason a chance. But it's going to become very, very underwhelming. And it's not even going to be what's going on the football pitch that people will be talking about then. It's just going to be purely about everything else that's happening off the football pitch. Why did this guy get the job? Why couldn't we get other people in? Everyone will be at the owners. And I don't even think the owners are going to put themselves in that situation where they're going to put Mason in charge. I really don't think that's the case. I think for me, Mason does, like, you look at Michael Carrick, former Spurs player, he's more experienced than Ryan Mason, you know? So, like, for me, I do think Mason needs to sort of get out elsewhere and try something. You know, even Jonathan Woodgate has more experience than Ryan Mason. And I don't want him anywhere near the Tottenham job. You know, good lad, great lad, apparently a great lad in the dressing room and everything else. But, you know, sort of like, my point is like, I get Mason, Spurs, true and all of that. But there's more people out there with more experience that are in around his age that I'd rather go with than Ryan.
Also, considering what Spurs do want to be competing for, you're competing with the best of the best now. Like, the Premier League has practically become the Super League, not only with the players that most teams have and the squads that most teams have, but also the managers. Pretty much all the best managers, like, across the world are practically in the Premier League, you know, for the most part. And that's another thing to consider too. Like, do you really want to throw Ryan into that sort of dumpster? You know, not into that dumpster, into sort of that sort of, you know, that's a real deep end to throw him into and see how he, you know, he can swim, where you'd rather throw in a guy who's probably just at the end of the day more prepared for it. And ultimately too, like, you're only as experienced as you are, and it's no slight on Mason. He's just kind of getting into things, and he's only 31 years old. I mean, I mean, he's only going to be as experienced as a 31-year-old can be as a manager.
And the thing is, if Ryan Mason takes the job and it doesn't go well, he'll get sacked. That's him done with Tottenham altogether. And I doubt you'll ever see him back at it.
You'd rather
Whereas
him
if he
after
goes
5-10
out,
years. Yeah.
Yeah, if he goes out, you know, to other clubs, Spurs are always going to keep an eye on him. There's always a potential for him to come back. And if I was Ryan Mason, that's what I'd be looking to do right now. But Ryan Mason wants the job. Fair play to him. Big up, Adrian Chiedo. Hopefully you are keeping well, sir.
Good man,
hopefully life is treating you well.
Working on those
Let me know if
scripts.
you're ever going to get over to a Spurs game live, my man. That'd be awesome. I'd try and get over there with you as well if possible. Let me know. Moondog, good afternoon, Moondog. I hope Dier ain't playing. We all hope that, my man. We all hope that. Look, you know, we've got our answers from the Palace game. Okay, it's only a bite-sized sample, but you don't change a backline that's kept a clean sheet. My guessing is you roll out the very exact same backline against Aston Villa. That'll give us more of a sample to maybe take away and fucking analyze and stuff like that. But look, for me, I've always knew it with this guy. Costly, always out of position, blames people, shit on the ball, never once given him a free pass because he's been here so long. The reality is he ain't good enough for what I want for my football club. Ship him out. Simple as. No more of this sentimental. I know people are going to say, Dave, you're sentimental towards Kane. But at least my guy does something. At least he stands up every single season to be counted, you know? And when I stick up for Harry Kane, it's more because, you know, you're not going to buy anyone better in the position than Harry Kane, right? So it doesn't make sense. Whereas Eric Dier, I mean, look, I could go down to my local senior team and say, look, you know, I need you to fly off Tottenham at the weekend. Because the reality is they're better than Dier. So for me, just can't have him here any longer. No more buddy stuff.
Longley, I'd say, is your man that's going to somehow keep Dier out of this defense. If he can stay healthy after that sort of injury that he had, if he can come back for this upcoming game, I think that's your best chance of keeping Moonhead out of the lineup. And also, I would say, maybe if you are, you know, still considering those set piece, you know, kind of, you know, he likes the occasional set piece goal, Dave. You know, he likes to throw, you know, a fiver on a set piece goal. I'd say Longley's been our most dangerous man sort of consistently this season from the set pieces. He usually is the guy either kind of getting an assist, it feels like, from it, or just the guy that's kind of winning the initial flick on to somebody. He's always quite dangerous, feels like, from the set pieces, Longley.
Yeah, Longley would be a good bet. Good bet, Moondog. Big yourself up, brother. And honestly, hopefully you are keeping well, sir. Let me know if you've got any more masterpieces in the pipework, by the way. Let me know, you know. I need to see what's going on with Moondog. Big yourself up, my man. Absolutely loving the pieces. I really appreciate the support as well, brother. Nick, good to see you, sir. He says, what was with the Velar hoodie Mason was rocking last week? What does he think he is? Eminem 2003? Oh, God knows, Nick. God knows, you know.
I liked his first hoodie choice. Nick. I thought it was it's like all black with like a Nike sort of logo. I'm not sure if it had any sort of Spurs connection or anything. It was just sort of like a nice sort of, you know, regular, you know, black hoodie. And I think he was wearing like some black jeans or something with it. I kind of looked, you know, I liked it. I think even Naglesmann probably was a little jealous, actually, at that sort of simplicity of that outfit.
Maybe that's what he's trying to do.
But
Maybe he's
he
trying to
got it
be
all
like
wrong,
Negus.
I think, in the next game against Palace. He got it all wrong with sort of the he had a very sort of like 12-year-old, looking hoodie with the sort of the big strings and everything coming out of it. Just wasn't the right look. And also the fact that it was raining, then, he didn't seem to check the weather report, because then you could see the rain, it's kind of watermark stains like on the hoodie as well, which never looks good either. Like, he should have stuck with the black hoodie. Should have stuck with that.
Seeing a bit of a trend here, Nick. 3-4-3, 4-4-2. Naglesmann likes the flexibility. And the hoodies and stuff like that. Maybe you're seeing Ryan Mason trying to become a Naglesmann. Who knows? Who knows, Nick? Big yourself up, my man. Big up Colin Turner as well. Great to see you, sir. Robert McDonald says if Romero plays well with a Lenglet beside him, I'd play the estimated 12 million pocket change for the Frenchman. At least he's a good backup rotation for the back three system. I'm no fan, but the Euros is okay. Look, this is what I've said about Lenglet. Like, I know there's been arguments over, is Lenglet what we need going forward? Now, look, obviously, long term, people probably want better names in here and stuff like that. But my argument always was, why not pay that change? It's pocket change in football nowadays. Pay it and get him in. He's a better backup. He does better than what Sanchez does, than what Dier does. I'd much rather have him coming in as backup next season than seeing Moon Boots or the human lawnmower who loves slipping and sliding all over the grass, lacing up their boots and coming in. And fans have made it known they don't want to see these guys anymore. There's no benefit to it, because even when you do play them after this, they're going to be like, well, how do you expect me to play well when the fans are on my back? A bit of a Harry Winks syndrome. So there's no point of just keeping these guys around here. Just get them gone. Get rid of the excuse culture. We've got players coming towards the end of their career who make excuses. We've got new guys coming in, young, hungry. They want to win, and they don't look for excuses. They want to find the culprits, and that's what's happening. So get these guys gone, in my opinion. I definitely would take Langley in, brother. Big yourself up.
Big up, Rob.
Big up, Bill. He says, very good watch, wasn't it, Dave? It was, my man. Big yourself up. Spurs Ninja says, he's on about the Souness interview. It was absolutely quality. I'm actually going to send it to Jack O'Leary to have a watch. Very interesting it was. Big up, Bill. Big up, Spurs Ninja. We're all good. Hopefully you are keeping well as well, sir. Legend. We've got Mark P says, love the dancing yesterday, Dave. Yeah, I got caught. I didn't, we were told we'd be off screen for the music, so I was giving it a bit of the Irish jig backstage, and then all of a sudden I end up on screen. It is what it is, Mark P. Is what it is. Tequila 316 David can get the keys to anywhere he wants. Well done, Dave. Big up, my man.
Tequila.
Thank you, appreciate it. Julian Hughes says, Dave, you smashed it on Collins yesterday. Thank you, Julian. Really do appreciate that. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the words. Rory Woods getting back to me, says, things are all good, mate. I have a baby now and he's teething. It's only going to get worse when he realizes I'm raising as a Spurs fan. That's why he's crying right now. He's it's not that he's teething. He just doesn't want to be a Spurs fan. Big up, Rory. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big up, Jeannie D as well. Great to see you, brother. Hopefully you are keeping well. Says, big up, Dave. Saw you on Chris Collins yesterday. Big up, my man. I really appreciate that. Just give me 1 minute, Chris. We'll get back to that, brother. Big yourself up. We'll just want to say hi to a few more people, and then we're going to crack on with some of the talking points. Big up, Drew Zilla. Hopefully you are keeping well, my man. Big yourself up, brother. Let me know what you're up to in this weather. Big up Chris Hinton as well. Expressions could take the job. Big up Jazzy Jones. At least under Mason and football will be exciting tomorrow, one way or another, instead of that depressing shite we've had all season. Yeah, look, let's see what happens, my man. Let's see what happens. Just want to make sure I'm not missing.
I saw Zoe in there. She said spot on, Dave. I'm not sure if she put in a comment as well. Big up, Zoe. Good to see you in the house as well.
Big up, Sebas as well. Great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Big up the regular. Big game tomorrow. We do need that 3 points, buddy. And also big up, Jacob. Hopefully you are keeping well, sir. And we've got this here from Chris. He says, afternoon all. Let's hope Moonhead don't start tomorrow and we manage to turn Villa over. And by the way, smash a like and get super chats. Big up, my man, Chris.
Big up, Chris.
Really appreciate that, brother. And big up Tony Austin and Joff as well, creeping in there. Look, like
Moonhead is our best chance of probably keeping a clean sheet. No, Moonhead is probably our best chance of not conceding, possession in areas that, could lead to sort of those kind of counterattacks that Aston Villa like to lead, we're kind of both sort of counterattacking teams, like in some regard, because Aston Villa, they kind of have a different sort of formation to us, but ultimately they do have no problem sort of like sitting deep and everything. Like I think Unai Emery's teams often, like you do see them kind of going back and forth between sort of kind of trying to dominate their, opponent, or sort of kind of just putting every man behind the ball and kind of, punishing you right on those sort of counters. So it's going to be interesting how they do that. But all I would say is no Moonhead. I think it saves us from a lot of trouble in a lot of situations. And also Ollie Watkins, I think he was already a good player before he's had this really hot streak. But right now, the way he plays is, again, another player that I'm worried about against an Eric Dier, because he runs into the channels. I mean, he won't track him, and they'll probably be able to find him. And then he kind of likes to take on his man in those one-on-one situations and sort of just power past him. And I think Eric Dier will probably get, taken every time in that regard. I'd much rather have Longley or Romero going after him.
Yeah, 100%. And look, you can't change a backline that's kept clean sheets unless it's because of injury. You can't do it. You got to let that backline establish itself. Roll out there for the next game and let's see what happens. What have you got to lose at this point? Big up, Chris. Really appreciate support, and hopefully Newcastle fans are treating you all right up there this year. I know you went a bit wild and unleashed on them last year. Hopefully they're treating you all right this year, Chris. Big yourself up, my man. A big up Colin Turner as well. He says, keeping Kulusevski is a no-brainer. And then also he says, last chance, meaning the backlash this time would be different to any other. Putting up with boring football and not winning is one. What remains to be seen is another. We all want Spurs to be successful. Absolutely. And that's the biggest point. And this is a point that I've been trying to make for some time. Regardless of where people are coming from, the common denominator is that everybody wants Tottenham to be successful. Everyone wants this club to win. We all love this club. B, we all love football. But C, it's an escapism from real life problems. And the last thing you want is, your club losing week in, week out, because it just adds to it. It makes life feel really crap and everything else. And all we want is Tottenham to win. We just want them to win trophies. Like, I want the memories that my Owlad has of Tottenham Hotspur, winning European trophies, picking up FA Cups, and stuff like that. I just want them memories. I want them memories. I want to be able to share them with the Owlad as well, the new memories that he's going to have. I want to be able to share them with him. That's what football is all about, and sadly, we haven't had many to celebrate over recent years, but look, it's about time we get back there. Right now, I'd argue over maybe the last 3-4 years, Tottenham have been a bit of a sleeping giant. It's time to wake up and roar like a lion.
I think it's not too ridiculous for Spurs to try to do both. Like they can try to sort of bring back sort of the exciting, maybe on the front foot football in some version. It doesn't need to be like completely, Ozzy Ardiles sort of like, on the front foot football, but it can be some sense of returning back to that, but also still having a better attitude when it comes to winning these cups and taking these competitions seriously. Like that's where the issue is, though. I don't think it's ultimately the football that's causing us to drop out of these competitions. It's more the culture, the principles, the values inside the football club, from the players all the way up to the top in these sort of competitions. You look at the likes of West Ham right now in a Conference League semifinal. I'll be honest, like that's where I want to be. I would love to be in a Conference League semifinal. I would love to be competing for, going to some, what is it? I think it's over in Prague, Dave. I mean, imagine Harris Army bouncing on that plane, over to the Czech Republic. But in all seriousness, like I just don't care. I don't think Spurs are ever a club, especially like in the way things have been recently, that should be looking down on sort of any of these competitions or looking down on any sort of opportunity to win a trophy. I think the issue is, though, is that find ourselves sort of like kind of having to put up with what isn't exactly very pleasing football, but then also on top of that, what isn't exactly, any sort of determination or any sort of will in these cups or any opportunities to win a trophy either. And I don't think it's that ridiculous for us to do both, though. I think we can try to bring back some winning football that still is, pleasing on the eye, but also emphasis on taking those competitions seriously.
Exactly. Absolutely spot on. Big up Joff as well. He says, like to see Moonboot stats for how he runs in a match. That Keith also said, what about his tackles? I said they're not existing. He doesn't tackle. Big up Daniel Field as well. Good to see you. Who else do we have sneaking in there? Tony Austin as well. Great to see you, Tony. And we also have Catman Jess as well. Big yourself up. Jack, I always seem to get a long phone call right before your show, like, why? A big old Val Taylor as well. Whoever it is doesn't want you listening to Jacko. That's what it is. Tell him you got more important things to do, my man. Let's get into some of the talking points that we've devised today, and then let's start cracking on with some of the guests. First talking point, we have Jacko, Harry Kane on the coach for being wrong at Tottenham.
Have some Harry Kane quotes to read to you here, Dave. He says, "I feel like from a culture point of view, we've been too up and down over the last few years. So, in any great team, any winning team, they have a way of doing things, and whoever comes in or whoever is added to that, they kind of fit in straight away, and they know the standards there. Ours have been a bit loose, I feel like, and we need to find a way to create that environment that drives success." So he says new players that come in here, Dave, there isn't exactly any sort of foundation for them to really hit the ground running or for them to exactly sort of have 100%, certification that they're going to do well here, which is an interesting thing. I'm not sure, we always love to say that we brought up something, months in advance, but this is a bit of a nuanced sort of point from, Kane's perspective, right? Where it's just sort of like, are really the, from the top down, from the players that already are there to sort of just the club in general, are the guys that are being brought in here sort of, have the foundations to hit the ground running, and have the foundations to come into a winning team and everything. I think he makes a good point there. And there are some other ones I want to get into, but maybe your quick response on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've questioned before, the players under Steve Hitchen, why have none of them been able to settle? Some of the ones under Paratici are starting to settle, which is good. But, I've always said you've got to question the high turnover of players. Who's setting the standard? I've asked that. Who's setting the standard around the training pitch when these new guys are coming in? How can you have an Endon Belling being lazy? How can you have a Lo Celso coming in treating people the way he wants to? I've questioned this. I've questioned it a long time ago. And thank you, Harry Kane. He's come out and he's backed me up on that. And this is what I've spoke about. If you don't have people setting the standards that you don't fall below, then you see what you see on the football pitch because everyone just comes in and does what they want to do.
Yeah.
You've got to have a core group of players who set the standards as soon as a new player walks in here. Rattle the ball into him, see how good his first touch is. If it's not on point, you say, you got a lot of work to do. You don't sit there and go, it's all right, buddy. We'll just get a bit softer to you, this, that, and the other. I'll get it next time. You need someone setting the standards, even the way you behave. It's like, look, we don't operate like this as Spurs players. This is the way you operate. I spoke about it for quite some time. And I'm pissed off, Jack. How has it been allowed to get this bad?
It's kind of crazy that Harry Kane is coming out about this now, but I guess that's what it is he's probably given maybe a lot of these players and maybe just sort of this club in general a lot of chances. And now he's sort of maybe expressing what he really thinks because he knows he's coming down to sort of maybe the last years of his contract. He went on to say it's been a difficult season, probably the last couple of years, the last 2 or 3. We haven't been where we want to be as a club. So ultimately, there's some internal stuff we need to talk about. We need to discuss more of the standards around the team and the training ground, which we need to get back to. We had those standards, those in place when Maurizio Pochettino was here. So internally, we need to do that. The chairman, Daniel Levy, will make a decision on what he thinks is best for the club in terms of the coach and who he wants to bring in, the players to go and who he wants to bring in. I always think that you're never too far away from being competitive with the right people, but also you're never too far away from dropping down to 10th or 11th in the Premier League because that is the standard slippery slope he's alluding to as well, right? I think a lot of interesting, again, sort of quotes there. And what you would say, Dave, is that in some capacity, he is, at least saying the standards, the values of maybe what was there under Pochettino. And maybe that was in some sense, a sense of winning, a sense of pride, a sense of, respect and also drive, to be achieving something has all sort of gone and it's no longer really as recognizable, I guess. And then another thing he's talking about is when you do let these standards slip, I mean, that can cause the slippage back to a 10th or an 11th.
Yep. It's no surprise. It's no surprise what we've seen the last couple of years. Of course, there's no one setting the standards. If there was someone setting standards, you wouldn't have Lloris making mistake after mistake and still being rolled out there. You wouldn't have Dier making mistake after mistake after mistake, still being rolled out there. Because and also you wouldn't have players around them that would tolerate it either. We've had players around who sort of tolerated it. These standards, you've And look, we can sit here and we can put it all on the manager, but the reality is when you've got a high turnover manager rate the way we have had over the last few years, it then becomes on someone in the squad being able to do that. You know, Chelsea have been able to get away with it for years under Abramovich because they had players that set a tone there. They had players that set a standard. You know, we don't. This summer, we've got to find players that are going to do that. You've got to find a manager. You've got to find a director of football. You've got to change the culture at the football club. Massive, massive summer ahead. Massive summer ahead. But you know what, Jack? We're at the point where you got a Harry Kane speaking out. Like, what is it? You know, people are starting to get fed up with it. Conte spoke out. Harry Kane speaking out. Oiberger spoke out. You know, Kulusevski is leaking things to his mate and stuff like that. You know, Romero spoke, or Bentancur spoke out privately and stuff like that we know of. And it's like you've got so many people starting to speak out now because they're just not tolerating it any longer. It's gone on for too long. Too long. You've got players that want to win that can't take this anymore. And it's no coincidence that you're seeing them speak up when the guys that they're talking about, their contracts are coming to an end. So interesting.
Yeah.
Aston Villa away, Ken Ryan Mason break the bad away record.
Yeah, just think about Newcastle, think about Liverpool, other games where we completely embarrassed ourselves away from home. I mean, it is at the very bottom rungs of sort of, you know, like away form at this stage. Like, I know people talk about Man United's, you know, away form because everybody has to talk about and think about Man United because they're that sort of club. But I think Spurs is looking more dreadful at this stage. I think we're embarrassing ourselves far more, I think, on a regular occasion, I think, away from home here. And so with how it's been, Dave, it's been nearly 2-3 goals, you know, we've been conceding, it feels like consecutively, you know, away from home here, or at least a lot. And that means the attack is going to have to have their finishing boots on and have to have their first touch about them and their wits about them. But if it also means maybe no Eric Dier, could that away form be broken? Maybe is it all also down to the fact that a lot of the goals we concede are just due to a very, you know, inept defense. And also, can he stick with that back four? If he sticks with the same 11, can that same 11 get the same result that they did against Palace away from home? I'm a bit skeptical of that because I feel like while that 11 that we had yesterday, or against Palace, sorry, was a far, far, far better team and a far better performance, then all of a sudden transitioning then to, you know, Villa away from home, like that's just a completely different occasion. And also it's a game where the pressure is, again, really on them. And we've seen how they've crumbled under the pressure multiple times. Even when you have a better lineup than you usually do expect, we've still seen them crumble. And I'm curious whether Ryan Mason in any way can sort of break that. And also whether maybe sticking with the same 11 can sort of break that. But I think a lot of it's going to come down to what sort of he devises, I guess, this weekend.
Yeah, our away form has been atrocious. It's been atrocious for 3 to 4 years now, to be honest with you. Can Ryan Mason break a habit of a lifetime at this stage? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Also with this, we've sort of spoke about the back line enough today, you know, where you don't change a back line that's kept a clean sheet. Same 11. I'd argue about bringing Perisic in for Ben Davies, but look, we'll have that argument with people who want to come in. We've also got Unai Emery praises Pedro Porro. Does he deserve to keep his starting spot? Look, on this, just quickly, I'll take this one. For me, of course, Pedro Porro keeps his starting spot. I mean, it's a no-brainer. He walks into it. But what I would say is this what I want Perisic to play. You look at Pedro Porro, he's been our most creative player in the last few games. Nearly a lot has come through him. I have no doubt Emery fancies this. He goes, we stop Porro, we stop Tottenham, especially if Davies is playing down the left-hand side. So that's why I would like to see a Perisic brought in here. But, yeah, Pedro Porro, I mean, look, prisoner, 3,192. You know, it's his yard, Jack.
Unai Emery sounds like he's a willing prisoner as well. He has no problem being, you know, he's a prisoner that knows the danger of his warden.
Love that. The future of Dejan Kulusevski is in doubt. Tottenham reflecting on the possibility to pay 35 million to Juventus to sign him on a permanent deal. Of course, this is one from yesterday. We didn't really get a chance to speak about it, so why not speak about it today? I mean,
I think it'd be a huge missed opportunity.
You don't buy this guy. Go on, Jacko. What do you think? You don't buy this guy's shambles.
I think it'd be so silly of us to miss out. I think if we're at all doubting because of the fact he hasn't exactly produced in the same way he did last season, I think there are a few explanations for that. One of them being the injury, another just being the fact that pretty much nobody's been really producing other than really Harry Kane for the most part, you know, in this front line. And then also too, I think Kulusevski is only, what is he, 22 at the end of the day? Like, these guys aren't finished products. Like, he still has so much to learn. He still has so much further to go. As good as he is for what he is, he still can be an even better player. And that sounds crazy to think about, but he still is going to be a much better player, you would think, in 5-6 years time, especially because he's never really been a guy that's blessed with pace or anything like that. So it's not like you're going to worry about that sort of, leaving him. He's been a very sort of intelligent player, uses his strength, uses sort of his composure and all those sort of attributes that aren't really common in, a player that early, that young in his development. And so I just feel like he's going to have his little blips. He's going to have his, spells where he's going to look incredible. But also, I don't know, it's a bit of recency bias, I think, too, because when he did come into the team, he basically was outperforming everybody in the Premier League when it came to, his numbers. I think he was having an even better half of the season than Bukayo Saka did, last season, right? When he came into the Premier League, he was producing almost nearly as good. I think when you looked at his goals and assists, stacked up to Saka's, wasn't it better, or was like just as good, or it was better, and he had half a season, right? And not even half a season, he came in like February. So this is sort of also where we're like stacking that sort of player that was basically one of the best right wingers in the Premier League at the time, to then a guy that's just sort of going to a little bit of a bad patch. And that just seems silly to sort of like, again, he's not 28, 29 or anything like that, where we do have to look at maybe getting rid of him. He's 22 or 23. It's ridiculous.
It's fucking crazy.
It's harsh, I think, as well. If anything, I think it's actually harsh, towards our young players, because I wish we treated, maybe, how would I put it? Like, I don't know. I think Lucas Moura. Yeah, I was searching for a player that's been here for a long time. I think Lucas Moura. I wish we were more ruthless to a Lucas Moura. Then, if we're going to do this to Kulusevski, why not have done this to Lucas Moura?
People were giving Bergwijn excuses for going on a run. I think it was like 20 odd games without any assist or any goal, giving him excuses. Kulu's had a bit of a downturn in form this season, and people are going crazy. I don't get it.
Could it be that Kulu doesn't want to be here, says Jacob? Maybe with the rumors that have come out through that former teammate of his and everything, could he be sort of leaking some rumors that he just doesn't really like it here anymore?
No, Kulu loves it here. He said it himself plenty of times that he likes it here. For me, I think it's absolutely madness. He's come in. He's displaced Bergwijn. He's displaced Lucas Moura. He's done what we were begging for some other guys to do in the past. He's come in and he's done it. Why aren't the club sanctioning this deal? It's pissing me off. Look, everyone's numbers, bar maybe a Harry Kane, of course, is going to take a hit this season when we've defended as much as we have and when we've conceded as much as we have. Everyone's numbers is going to take a hit. Everybody's. Not just Kulu's. For me, when you've got a player, Jack, who can cross a ball like him, who has the vision like him, and who has dribbling like him, there is a player there. What you saw last season, that's the real Kulusevski. We know he can produce it. Sanction that money. Sanction it. You sanction big money on Bergwijn, sanction big money on Lucas Moura for fuck all. Fuck all. Sanction the money for Kulusevski. It is not easy for a young kid at his age to step in and fit in with Kane and Son the way he has. It's absolutely mindless not to take him up on this 35 million. There is a quality player there. Absolute quality, and it's just about getting him back to that level rather than asking him to produce more and more and more and more. It's not like he's sitting here and he's been okay and we haven't seen what level he can get to. We know that level that he is at. Sanction that money and stop being stupid. If we end up not bringing in Kulu and we end up bringing in a Canyon Lee or someone like that, it's like, what's the point? What is the bloody point? Kulu's already produced it here. You're bringing in guys hoping that they're going to produce what Kulu's already produced. Also, the fact that he's come off the back of a long hamstring injury that kept him out for quite some time. It's going to take him a while to get back to his best.
Spot on.
My God, you sanction that money. It's absolutely mindless if we don't. It's stupid. We've kept Dier around for 8 years, kept Davies around for 7 years, Sanchez around for 5 years. This guy has done more than all three of them put together for Tottenham Hotspur. And we're not sure whether we want to pay 35 million. Absolute bloody ridiculous. Bloody ridiculous. And then
I agree with Hollywood Hotspur. Who else are you going to get for 35 million if a guy, it's just, that's another thing to think about as well. Yeah, just the money that you end up losing out on. I mean, you're going to have to still replace him. And can you really get the same quality for 35 million? I really doubt it. Really doubt, especially knowing Spurs. Especially knowing Spurs.
It's a bloody joke. And then the Owl says, bad culture at the club, said Harry. Something we've known for the past 22 years. Catch up, Harry.
Anything else that says 35 million for Kulu would be money well spent. 23 years old, bargain. Good to see that. Good to see that, Mr. Harris. Improvement of the Kulusevski.
Yeah, my Owl likes a bit of Kulu. He does. He sees the skill in him, Jack. He sees it. When to be able to skin a player along the byline like that shows how good of a player he is. That's not luck. That's using your 2 feet very, very quickly, using your body strength at the same time. That's skill, by the way. It's not luck. And then you've got Footballer of the Year, 5 people nominated: Erling Haaland, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, the cheap cleaning product, Kevin De Bruyne, and Marcus Rashford. No Harry Kane, despite scoring 26 goals and 3 assists in a much weaker team. More output than Bukayo Saka, more output than Odegaard, more than De Bruyne, who spent half the season on the bench, and more than Rashford. For me, it's clear to see the agenda is at play. They've tried building up Harry Kane and buttering him up for a move. It hasn't worked. So someone goes, you know what, we'll try to change that. We'll pretend Harry Kane doesn't exist. We'll devalue Harry Kane, which then means we'll try and get into his brain so he thinks he has to leave Tottenham to get the respect. The nuts and the bolts is people involved in these awards, people involved in the Premier League and in the media, they don't want England's best player at Tottenham Hotspur. It's that simple. They'd rather be playing for a United, for a Man City. They do not want him playing at Tottenham Hotspur. And that's the nuts and bolts of it. It is absolutely a shameless agenda. Shameless. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Isn't also, though, as well, wasn't Sonny snubbed of it last season or something like
He
as
was
well?
snubbed, one of the seasons. Yeah, I think could be right.
I think during his Golden Boot winning season, right? Last season, he was snubbed from something. I think he was either snubbed from the list entirely or he didn't even win it, or I forget what it was. I think he was just even maybe snubbed from the list entirely or something like that. So that just sort of alludes to an even deeper umbrella of sort of just, again, sort of Spurs players, just not getting any sort of nod or any sort of, respect or any sort of even fair, recognition at all. And also, like you said, Dave, Kevin De Bruyne on the bench for half the season. At the end of the day, he's a fantastic player, but hasn't put in a full 38 matches like Harry Kane has thus far. And then when you look at Bukayo Saka, somebody who's probably kind of been falling off maybe a bit more recently, and then Odegaard as well, when you really look at their numbers, even stacked together compared to Harry Kane, it's just not even really all that convincing. And then Rashford, I would say, is like a Harry Kane, where he's sort of carrying his team along this season. But look at one of, Rashford's stats compared to Kane's stats, and it's incomparable. So it's sad. It really is sad. It's a bit, it's so obvious. It's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, really embarrassing, honestly. Really, really embarrassing. But look, that's our talking points for today. Please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. We are going to get on the guests and let them share their thoughts on everything. But guys, if you do enjoy all the work myself and Jack will do, a few little things you can do that really helps go a long way. Smashing that like button helps us in that massive fight with the algorithm we are constantly in. Every stream has been getting over 100 likes. Let's keep that up. You guys out there have been amazing with that. Something free you can do that really helps us out. Feel free to share the word around. We're on the big push for 10K. Let's try and make it happen before the end of the season. So why not share it to your Spurs buddies? Put it out there. Be like, look, maybe you should get these guys to listen to stuff like that. Third thing, we've added the Pete Crouch podcast. We need an answer. We need you guys to get the pressure on, get in under their comments on YouTube. If you have a Twitter account, make sure you at them and ask them to answer the Irish wise question. Last but not least, we understand very, very tight out there at the minute. Not a lot edgeways for many people out there in terms of finances. But look, every little helps. We're also feeling the pinch and all of that sort of stuff. So if you do want to help support the work that we do here, feel free to throw in a super chat and show us your support. But honestly, I really can't stress this enough. Please don't feel pressure to do it or anything like that. You guys have been brilliant with your support for us from the very beginning up until now. We really do understand things are tight. So if it is tight, please don't feel pressure to do it. But if you are in a position to do it, it would be great to help us out. But look, Jacko, crack on. When we start getting on some guests, I just need to run to the bathroom. Maybe 1 second.
Okay, no worries. Well, you're going to get prepared for your Friday argument maybe then, Dave. Maybe that's what he's doing. Sorry, I moved myself from the stream there. Sorry, I removed myself from the stream there for a second. Even we're gonna leave you all alone there, Mia.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on? I'm on. Can I run the show? Does that mean I'm on it?
We both ran away from the debate. We both ran away from it. But good to have you here. Like I said, we have the Friday opener, the Friday daily argument for Davo, and maybe last time he was sort of spared of it, I think, at some stage. But what's on your mind today, Mia? I mean, usually what you'd like to talk about. What do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, we can talk about Kulu first, because that was something that obviously I was thinking about while Drew was talking about it. I think it's crazy to say that we would give him up out of all the players that we've got that are terrible. To say that we wouldn't want a Kulu is madness. He hasn't been his best, and I've criticised him for not being his best, but he has had an injury and we've seen what he's capable of. So I feel like, why would anybody not want him? But the only thing is, does he want to stay? That is obviously something we do have to consider slightly. But yeah, for me, honestly, I don't know why anybody would criticize him when he hasn't been given a chance after he's had his injury. I think that maybe we need to see after his injury, because I do think that it takes time, Any of us who hurt ourselves can get injured. You're a bit cautious. Maybe you're not feeling great back up to yourself. And also, may I just say, I feel like the way that we've played maybe hasn't played to Kulu's strengths either.
Yeah.
So
didn't we bring up once before that Kulu sometimes is being asked to make a lot of runs in behind, when we all know he doesn't exactly been blessed with that sort of pace or anything like that. He is sort of a guy that does well dropping deep, then sort of, spinning his guy from there and kind of, going after teams. He's not exactly sort of the guy that you can always depend to just sort of hit the ball into the channels or anything and ask him to run after it.
No, he doesn't tend to do that, Jack. He tends to take the players on, doesn't he? When we've seen him at his best, he takes the players on because he's strong, and he takes them down that byline, and he takes them all the way down to and then gets the cross in or gets it to somebody else because of his strength. So for me, he doesn't tend to, like you say, receive the ball and
there are those players who like to come short, and then there are those players who prefer to go in behind. I would even put it like an Ollie Watkins, the guy we're coming up against tomorrow. Like that guy, it seems like he's sort of like you could, just kick a ball anywhere and he'll go chase after it, and put some pressure on the defender. Whereas a Kulusevski, probably much more reluctant to do that type of thing. He'd much rather come short for it, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think that possibly that's another factor. I really don't think we've played to his strengths, and I do think he has injury. So for me, he's a keeper, man. We have to keep him. I think he's a really good player, and he's young. And don't forget, I know he's not super young, but he's still got the propensity to possibly have a little bit of inconsistency, and he's been injured. So I don't know what the club are doing if they are not keeping him, or anybody who says not to keep him.
I think he's young considering how good he is, right? That's the point I was trying to make. Like, for what he's already done at 22 years old, and the clubs that he's played for, and the standard that he's shown that he can be at for being 22 years old. Like, I mean, that just means 6-7 more years that he can get even better than, technically, right? And that's where I sort of look at it. Whereas when you look at players who haven't exactly maybe produced the goods, like maybe Kulusevski has at his age, maybe like we've said before with Skip and players like that, then that you start to get a bit worried, right? Because you need them to start maybe showing the goods a bit more. But I think Kulusevski, like we brought up before, I don't know if recency bias was the right word, Mia, but I kind of said how he was outperforming Saka, at last season. Like, this is maybe we're just too harsh to judge him because his standards from last season were just so incredibly high.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. I think because he set the standard so high, we all have the expectation. But what we're not factoring in, as I say, is the style of play and the fact he's been injured. So I think
you're your own worst enemy if you hit the ground running. you're your own worst
basically,
enemy.
Because people are going to go, hold on a second, what happened to that Kulu? But you've also, like I say, got to have some sort of understanding with the fact that he's had injury and possibly not being played in the best way that we can play him. And another manager, I feel, will come in and hopefully think about what his best attributes are and use those correctly, because that's the way you're going to get the best out of him. You know, you want to get the best out of your players, so you want to try and use them in the correct way to be able to do that, especially your front players.
Yeah, I know you like to swat away the rumors as well. Mia, do you feel like the rumors coming out that he might want to leave? What do you make of that? I mean, it's hard to know because there are some things coming out from people close to him. Do you believe that he might want to leave, or do you feel like that's a little maybe too far-fetched?
I think it's a bit far-fetched. I think that it's just talk, isn't it? And again, could it have been misconstrued and what he actually meant and what he actually said to these people, if they misconstrued it? It's just so easy to do that, Jack. And then it gets reported in the paper, the big headline, Kulu wants to leave. You know,
or it's twisted, right? It's said how it was, and then it gets taken out of context by the
that's
reporters,
what I mean.
Sometimes intentionally, right? You know,
yeah, no, absolutely. That we've seen cases of that many times with the press, not just with footballers, in all aspects. So absolutely, they will twist words, they will leave out parts and like cut off certain quotes and like cut them off to make them sound like they're not what they actually was saying. You know, it's easy to do that. So I don't quite believe it. You know, I don't, because he said the other day, didn't he say he was really glad that he had a chant, like a song? I'm sure Kulu said that.
Yeah, you're right.
He was really pleased that he had a song about, like we did a song about him. Now, to me, that's somebody who's happy that the fans love him, you know, like he's liked.
Good insight.
And, you know, yeah.
I think that's good insight. No.
So
Tenderpool also says to me, we resurrected his career. He can't dump us now. That's another good point, right? Like for him to just quickly give up on Spurs after Spurs sort of, I mean, kind of got him going, you know, again, from where his career was kind of stagnating a bit sort of at Juventus. It wasn't really like he was getting a ton of chances or anything. And I believe the manager, I'm not sure if he was there under Pirlo, but he could have been, I think he was there under the current manager. Why am I forgetting his name? You know, the Italian guy, whatever people say. Allegri, yeah. And I'm not sure if he was getting a ton of chances or whatever it was under Allegri, or Pirlo, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, what is he really going back to at Juventus too? Is he really guaranteed to get chances again? That's another thing.
No, that's the thing. And also, players like to feel appreciated, and if they're appreciated by fans especially, and they're getting time to play, why would he want to go back to a Juve where he didn't get time to play and wasn't really appreciated? You know, like it just feels like that would be a really silly thing to do, wouldn't it? It's like going back to an old job that you quit because you didn't like it. Why would you go back to that job? Like, it's silly. And that's an analogy, not a comparison, FYI.
Did you hear that on the podcast, by the way? I made a shout out to that on the podcast.
I also think Kulu was frustrated at his time at Inter because he wanted more game time. So I don't see him going back there for sure. Nowhere near it, because he wanted out in the first place for game time and stuff like that.
That's what I said. So he's getting game time with us. I don't see why he would really truly think to himself, actually, I want to go back to not getting playing time, sitting on the bench and not playing football, you know. And he's young, so he wants to obviously express himself and go out there and play ball, man. Of course,
probably complained about being played too much. If anything, like we were playing him through his bad patch and just continuing to throw him out there more, you know, and not as ruthless as maybe other clubs would be. That's for sure. Do you want us to talk about the Villa game upcoming, Mia? Is there maybe another sort of thing behind the scenes that you had as well?
The other thing I was going to actually say is I'm going to agree with you massively with the Kane thing. What is it about our player that people just seem to have this real thing against? Like if he gets a penalty given to it, why did you dive and when you got barely touched? He has to do a full analysis, watch himself on the screen. But there's so many other players that do it. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, honestly. And I'm like, where's their full press conference they have to give about what happened in the game? Like, honestly, they seem to be so against him. It's crazy. I just looked up the stats. Rashford's only had 22 goals this season, and in Europe and in the Prem, and Kane's had 27. Like he's like you said, his output is better than Rashford. So why is Rashford even on the list? He hasn't been that good this season, because Man United supporters at one point were saying we're playing better without Rashford. So I don't understand how he's got in there when Kane is our player that plays week in, week out, every single time, and he can't even get on the list. It's madness. It's absolute madness.
Do you think
I think
it's
Dave has a tear in his eye right now. Listen to this. Honestly, I think he's.
do you know what? I'm surprised. Mia, is of the opinion on this. I actually thought she might have came on and given my Friday argument over that point. But Mia,
see, actually, you'll be surprised, because I'm actually I'm a reasonable person, so I will go there's certain things I will say about Kane.
Anybody reasonable looks at that list and just goes ridiculous.
If you're going to be reasonable and sensible about it and look at it in a logical manner, you can't say that Kane does not deserve to be on that list. It's absolutely crazy.
Why do you think he's not on the list? Is it down to what I gather is that, look, his contract's up in a year. They've tried, buttering up and everything else, and he sort of hasn't left Tottenham. Maybe they're trying the new tactic, sort of like devalue and make him feel like he's not appreciated. It's sort of like, do you think there's something to that?
There could possibly be, because it seems like at every opportunity they want to talk about Kane leaving Tottenham, don't they? Every sort of big media outlet, they all want to talk about Kane leaving. That's all they want to chat about. And even when it happened, when he wanted to possibly go to City, it was like, that's all they wanted to talk about. But it was the amount that it was spoken about. I've not seen it really in my lifetime spoken about really many other players, if I'm honest. I can't think back with an English player, especially, that was brought through a club, that it was spoken about that. Because I think that's probably the biggest thing, because he's come through our academy. What other academy player gets what Kane does about this whole, is Kane going to leave? Does Kane have to leave? Kane's leaving Tottenham. All the headlines all the time. It's a lot, it is a lot. And I just don't get it.
It's like also rain, I don't know, rain, sun, or win, lose, whatever it may be. It's like, oh, if we win a game, it's like, oh, Kane, he's so good. Look how he carries Spurs. Like, surely, he should leave. And then if we lose, it's just like, Kane shouldn't have to put up with this, like, it's like, no matter what, like the agenda is sort of like,
it is very much agenda. And also it's like he hasn't got his own mind to do what he wants. Like, I'm sure that if he wants to leave, he will leave. Like I say, if he doesn't sign that year contract, for me, I feel like if the further contract, if he's here for a year, we shouldn't keep him. However, he's got his own mind and his own brain to decide for himself. None of us are in his brain to know what he's thinking and what he's feeling. So I think that they just assume, oh, well, he must be this, it must be that. And it's just like, no, just
I think
be
you're right,
quiet.
because the Michael Richards thing is also just ridiculous. Like you said, it's like insulting his intelligence, like at a certain stage where they like feel like he's not even capable of making his own judgment or his own decision. He's like, how can Kane sleep at night? You're just like, geez, man, like that seems like a bit extreme.
I'm sure that he can sleep in his luxurious bed with his wife, who he managed to get pregnant again. So I'm sure that he's having a wonderful time.
Like, for instance,
breaking another record yet again. Spot on, Mia.
For instance, you look at Sancho at United. Big money, hasn't worked out. Why don't they talk about and highlight why it hasn't worked out for him? Why is that sort of brushed under the carpet? Why are they always talking about engineering a move for Harry Kane? You look at Rashford. How many times have they defended him saying he's good enough for Man United, this, that, and the other? Never once have they said, look, Rashford needs to leave. He's not good enough. And then you look at Harry Kane, the way they treat him, saying he needs to leave, he needs to get to one of these clubs, this, that, and the other. It's a complete load of bollocks. The guy's had a chance to win trophies at Tottenham. For one reason or another, we haven't got over the line. But this myth that he has to leave to go and win trophies, it's a myth. He's had his opportunities.
Yeah. And like I say, nobody knows in his head what he's thinking, whether those trophies are important to him or they're not. I feel like they are, because I don't think he would have wanted to go to a Man City if they wasn't. That's my personal way I view it. But that might not be the case as well. So, it's all conjecture. Everybody's assuming what they know about Harry Kane when they don't actually know Harry Kane and what he's actually thinking. It's just madness. It's absolute madness. So I just can't get on board with that absolute nonsense that they spout, to be honest with you. I take never mind of it, to be honest. I'm a bit like, I can't be bothered with it.
Yeah, I scroll past it when they talk about it on TalkSport every time. I just scroll past it. No.
You're the only one go on.
Joe, what's worse, on TalkSport, it's mostly the bloody ex-scumbag players that say it anyway. Like, don't put your
It's their
play
favorite thing to chat about.
Yeah, don't put my player's name in your dirty mouth, Arsenal bloody ex-player. I don't think so. Makes me mad.
Wayne Bonner sent in a super chat when you were having your discussion with Jack on Kulu. He says, it depends on the new manager and the style of play. Will Kulu fit in? He's a good player. I'd keep him. So basically, I think what he's asking is what they should be the way they should be looking at is if they're getting a new manager with a different style of play, do you think Kulu can adjust? And if the answer is yes, then you got to keep him. Do you agree with Wayne?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Ellie said it earlier. I think it was Ellie, because he could play in the number 10 position if it's the two up top. So I'm sure that we could fit him in the team. I think even playing differently, I think that he's too good a player to get rid of. If I'm honest, I do think he's too good a player.
Yeah,
we were sort of like also talking about, Dave, how Kulusevski maybe is probably a guy that benefits more from being allowed to come short for it instead of just sort of always being asked to lead counterattacks and lead sort of transitions. Like he is maybe a guy that of course can help lead a transition and lead a counterattack, but you'd almost expect him to sort of kind of drop deep, sort of how Kane does, to sort of kind of spin his man or sort of turn his man to be able to lead the counterattack from there. Often we find ourselves sort of maybe having Kane drop deep, and then Kane has a Kulusevski who needs to sort of run past his defender, and he's not always really kind of that guy for it. And so maybe he's also kind of not benefiting from perhaps always the right system. I think he's done pretty well in this right wing position. Like we know he can do it, but maybe also if you were to give him maybe more opportunities to drop deep, I feel he can kind of come short for it. He probably would benefit from that because he does really well with his back to goal. Actually, with his back to goal, he's actually almost like a striker with the way he's able to sort of muscle off his defender and everything. But when you are asking him to sort of run into the channels and everything, like it's not always his sort of strong suit.
But look, when you look at it, Jacko, you're also asking a lot more difference from the guy. Like before, you were asking him to more or less get over to Emerson, take the ball off him, and swing it in.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you're not asking that of him because Pedro Porro's out there to do it all the time. So now Kulu has to sort of adapt his game a little. He's got to learn to work with Porro. But if Porro's on the ball, you want to see Kulu getting onto that near post. Sort of trying to get across and get a flick on and stuff like that. So he's been out injured. He's used to one way of coming and picking up the ball off Emerson and doing everything. But now he's come back. He's got Porro to contend with. So that relationship could take a bit of time to get right. And all it needs is a manager just to sort of have a plan or devise a plan between them. But with Kulu, Jack, I've said this before, very similar body shape to Harry Kane, lad.
Yeah.
He's got good control. He knows how to score a goal. I've no doubt that guy can play a striker. I have no doubt that guy can play a cam in a cam role as well. I have no doubt he can even play over on the left if needed. For me, it just makes so much sense to pay that money. Really does. Big up, Wayno, my man. Really appreciate the support. But
Wayno, by the way, Bill Messi was playing against the likes of Juventus last night in a semi-final. He started against the likes of Juventus. We got to give him that chance, man. He's already tasting, the big games. He's already tasting the big moments. We need to give him it for Spurs, Wayne. He played a good game by the looks of things. He played a big part in their goal against, I believe, for Naglesmann or whatever. He did that sort of dummy, Dave, where he ran across the ball, at the inside box, and then Naglesmann finished it home. It was nice.
It's filthy. It's absolutely filthy. Wayno, really appreciate the support, my man, top man, and you're absolutely spot on Kulu, brother. Mia.
Go on. I was saying, Joe, you've got me started on this media thing now because my brain's like whirring. Do you know what else that I think that really wound me up, what they do? Which is when we were doing well, they all praised us in like a really backhanded way. Like it's a backhanded thing where they'd say, oh, Tottenham are doing really, really well. Bless them. They're doing well, but they are bottle jobs. Arsenal are going to bottle it and no one's calling them bottle jobs. What is up with that? Like, what is up with that? We get called bottle jobs, right? We get patted on the head and then told, but you're a big club. You should want better. You should do better. And then Arsenal, top of the league for how long? And now they're going to bottle it. And no one calls them bottle jobs. Nobody. That's just ridiculous.
Haven't they, correct me if I'm wrong, haven't they spent the most time ever at the top of a Premier League table and not won it?
And that's been more than once, Dave, as well. I think they're in the top 5. I think they're 3 out of the top 5 times or something like that. So, and
I think another thing too, weren't Spurs called bottle jobs for Pochettino's sort of missed chance as well, at winning the league. So, and they were only Yeah. So it's only
So
fair.
I understand that I say it, but I'm the fan, right? I'm a fan of Tottenham. So I feel like I've got a kind of say in how I feel about my club. But when other people say it, I think, who are you to say when your team does the exact same thing and nobody says it? Like, what an absolute joke. Sorry. You just got me off, like, going off on one now about the bloody media. Don't
No, do
start
you
me
know,
on them
you know
absolute
what it
idiots.
is? You're absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Look, you know, us Spurs fans, I think we'll always call them bottle jobs. But if stats were the definition of you know, if you could turn stats into the definition of a bottle job, you know, form 3 of the top 5 times you've spent longest on table and not winning Premier League. I mean, that's definition of bottle jobs right there. But you know what? Look, let them have their season this year. Let them think they're going in the right direction. Next season, I think it'll be a different ballgame altogether for them. Let's see how they get on. I think they'll suffer a hangover at the start of next season, and it could end up being costly. But you're absolutely spot on. They are absolute bottle jobs. But Mia, why don't you give us a quick preview into what your thoughts are for the Villa game tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm obviously kind of like a bit like dubious about this game. However, the last couple of games, they haven't been that great and they have actually lost against Wolves and Man United. So I think that they're gettable, as in you can get at them. And I think, you know, that obviously Emery has made them look like a good team. Don't get me wrong. Like Watkins is a brilliant player. They've got some fantastic players, but I do think, like I say, this game particularly, actually, it's never really a sure thing at home for either team because we've won at the ground, they've won at our ground. It's not really a simple, like, they normally win their home games, we normally win our home games against them. So I think that it could go actually either way. And I looked at our away form. Our away form, we've won 5 and lost 7. Home form, we've won 12 and lost 5. So our form actually isn't great, either home or away, particularly with the losses. So, you know, like I say, actually just could go either way. But I hope that he does stick with not putting Dier in, having Emerson there. I think it really worked well. And I think that being able to maybe like have it where it sort of adjusts and changes and players kind of switch over. I think that unpredictability would actually be quite good because then like they don't know what they're training for, so they don't know who's going to be where, like, because we're changing it up a little bit. I think actually that's probably a good thing, is that a little bit unpredictability with what Mason's trying to do. So I hope that we can obviously give them a really good game in that way. I really do. And I hope that we do stick to it, because I think Longley, from what I know, is okay. I've not seen him any injury news saying that he's out. So if I'm not mistaken, I think he just hyperextended, and I think it might have popped maybe a little bit out his shoulder, but you can pop that straight back in. It's fine. Just give it a good whack. And it goes back in again.
Or in your case, you can massage it in, you know, you can massage it in.
Listen, if it was Romero, I would, but Longley, not so much.
Good-looking guy too, no?
Yeah, no, he's all right. He's not bad looking. I'd say, maybe Porro is my next on the list.
Good choice.
Yeah, it'd be Romero.
Mr. Porro.
Yeah, and then Porro, because it's that look, isn't it? It's the South American sort of that look to me. That's why I like Paolo Gazzaniga as well.
The bad boy look. The bad boy look.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, Mia, why don't you tell people what's on your channel, what they need to get over there and look at?
I've got lots of content. I've already done my preview actually for the game. So if you want to go, you can go and watch that. If you want to know what my score prediction is, you can go over and check that out. I do shorts, I do lives on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays as well. So there's always plenty of content for you, and to come over and be part of the community, because I really enjoy having conversations with people. It's like a really nice little community where we all like are respectful as well with each other's opinions. And I do something, like sometimes I do things a bit different. So this Saturday, I'm actually going to do a flashback to the Champions League run that we got to the final, because I thought that would be quite nice. Something a bit more cheery, because we're all a bit depressed at the moment. So I thought it'd be quite nice to kind of go back into that time where we all felt really good and kind of happy. So I thought I'd do that. And I've also done one with Colin about the power at Tottenham. I've also done about who's to blame for the problems at Tottenham. So I do all kind of varied kind of content as well, not just current the game ones as well. So
like it.
No,
I like it.
you do. You do. There is a good mix of content over there. Various different things discussed. So make sure you do get over there. Check out Spurs Between the Lines. Smash the subscribe button and get your support behind me.
and I've just got my 350 as well. I just got to 350. So
Wow.
I'm getting
Let's get
closer
there.
to that 500. I'm
Come
getting
on.
very like 150 now. I was actually like, wow, that's that's pretty
Right.
exciting
Well,
to say that I'm getting there.
That's
with
awesome.
all the content you're doing as well, Mia, I'm sure over the summer as well, get some good boosts, hopefully, especially maybe Spurs at least maybe do some nice early business and don't keep you waiting too long either. But alrighty, we'll get you to 500
brilliant.
soon enough.
Congratulations, Mia. Keep it up. You're doing great work over there, my dear.
Thank you.
Buzzing for you. Buzzing. We'll see you soon, Mia.
I'll
See you
speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wow, what an achievement by me. She's absolutely smashing it out there, and, fair play to her. You got the likes of Ellie out there. You've got Becky from the Cheese Room and that as well. You've got Jodie from Paxton Road as well. Fair play to these women for coming out there, putting their opinions out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do in what predominantly is probably more male dominated, so fair play to you ladies for doing that. Not an easy thing to do, and believe me, every single one of them are well able to hold their own as well. So absolutely quality. But look, let's keep moving this on. We've got plenty of guests to get to. So let's start cracking through them. The next one, I believe, is Dan Davenport.
I think it's Dan might have dropped out. Dan, if you're still there.
So we're on to Roy then.
I think it's on to Roy then. So Dan, if you want to come back in, we can put you on after Roy, but we'll go on to Roy now.
Let's get Roy. Roy, if you're there. Oh, Roy, if you're there. Yeah, let's get him on. Roy, my man, how you keeping?
Hi, very good. Excited.
No, thank you for coming on, my man. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you. It's always good to hear new voices. So look, what do you want to come on and discuss today?
No, I want to discuss the route to the quickest route to silverware. What do you think about what we should accomplish?
Getting Spurs on the right track.
Yeah. I think we can agree that we need a confidence boost. And the quickest route to silverware, as I see it, is if we get 6th place this year.
To try to get into the Europa League or the Conference League?
Yeah, really. I really think it's the best way to build our team back up and try to win that silverware we all need, and then secure our way to Europa League next year without thinking too hard on the Premier League, because I don't think realistically we can achieve much next year in Premier League. So to let our shoulders down and run for the cups,
what would you say to best. There are a lot of fans, though, Roy, who kind of look down on the Conference League. They sort of feel like the Conference League is a bit beneath us, not really worth our time or our attention. Would you kind of disagree with that? Do you feel like that's sort of, like Spurs should take any competition they have seriously, like they should see it as an opportunity, right?
It's a new cup. It's not something we have experience with. I agree with Harry Kane saying we should respect the cup, and if we are qualified for it, we should go all in on it, and get that stamp of not winning anything. Just get rid of it and start building from there. Perhaps we can go for the Europa League next year and kill that one as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? I agree with you, right? Like, this is something that I've been saying, that as Spurs fans, we can't turn our nose up at silverware. Look, if you want to be brutally honest, you look at the FA Cup, you look at the League Cup down the years, it's been dominated by teams at the top. That's the teams picking it up. So I agree with you.
Exactly.
That Europa Conference League, a Europa League, it's probably one of our best chances of winning silverware. However, Roy, I do think we have to consider that we do have to play in the Premier League regardless, right? You know, we have to fulfill them fixtures, and you've got to give it a go. But look, we can't persist with the same players who have let us down in a lot of these cup competitions before. You look at a lot of our exits; they've all been away from home, and you look at there's a lot of common denominators in them squads. What players do you believe need to be banished, need to be sold this summer?
I could easily give you 50 names.
Give me the worst 5, or give me the worst 2 or 3, or who you think is the biggest problem.
Lloris and Dier. That's just simply look at the numbers.
Yeah. Do you feel like...
And of course, the poor guy, Sanchez.
Yeah. He's been atrocious. At
the end of the day, though, it has been Lloris and Dier, though, consistently picked pretty much in every game, Roy. And it was even people were sort of wiping their eyes. I think Dave had to take a moment when he saw that Eric Dier was even left out of the lineup entirely. What did you make of that? You know, of all people, Ryan Mason, of all people, was the guy to leave out, actually, Lloris and Eric Dier.
I think it's the right thing to do for everyone, for Dier, for the team, for the fans, everyone.
Especially for the fans. I can tell you're a bit like Dave here, where you seem like you get physical pain.
I've been a Spurs supporter since '89, so I'm hungry for some silverware, I can tell you.
Roy, before I ask you what manager you want that you think can lead us to the charge across Europe, how'd you become a Spurs fan?
Eric the Viking.
Torsved.
Yeah.
Legend.
I love it, my man. Absolutely love it. You know,
I was a goalie as well when I was a kid and tried to do everything like him. I studied every move. Started with the Nottingham game.
Were you good goalkeeper?
No, I didn't make it to senior level. So
difficult position to play, you know. A difficult position to play.
What's your opinion on Lloris then? From the goalkeeper, since you're part of the goalkeepers union, Roy, you know, you get to have more of a better opinion than we do. We're not in the goalkeepers union. So what do you think of Lloris?
I think it's sad. I think he's the best goalkeeper since Thorstvedt, to be fair. And I think he deserves so much more than this last season. I think he should have... the poor guy should have stopped 1 year ago.
I've been a bit harsh on him, Roy. Do you feel like I've gone a bit overboard at times? Do you feel like, because I've basically questioned, you know, his leadership. I questioned his character. You know, I feel like he's come out, at least to me, to maybe not exactly be a great captain in any means. But I don't know. Do you feel like some of the people like myself who have kind of really heavily criticized Lloris this season, is that a bit too harsh, a bit too soon? What do you think?
No, it's not too soon, too harsh. I guess we all have been on very many players, but you guys are put in a position where you have a mic very often on you. So,
thanks for not taking me down. I appreciate it, Roy. Nice.
You know what it is? There's a mic in your face when the emotion is raw. You got to calm down and calculate your feelings and maybe get them across in a different way. But look, Roy, what manager are you going to charge taking us across Europe and delivering what you think is our best hope of a trophy, my man?
Yeah, listen, I feel there is only one option, and that is Naglesmann. If we don't get Naglesmann, I think we should stick with Mason. Really.
Interesting. What have you seen in Mason that you think, you know, he could potentially take us forward?
You know what? We have tried Mourinho and we have tried Conte, right?
True.
What paper do we look at and say he can bring us to silverware? We can't even do it with Naglesmann. He's just exciting. If we can't do it with him, let Mason build his team and try. I don't think anyone else could do any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're out of options, or where you kind of feel like nothing works anymore, might as well just try something completely right out of left field, or something completely, you know, outside the box. Yeah.
It's interesting to see Livy's point now ahead. What does he do?
What do you think?
How can he make this mess right?
What would you do if you were in his shoes? How would you go about fixing this mess?
Take the money and go.
You think you're a bit like me, where you think he's probably lost You know, there's too much to do and he doesn't really know how to get his hands back on it or where to start to get it back right?
I really think he has done all he can, and he can stay building hotels. But the footballing deal, he has proven to everyone he's not as good as he needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. And look, Roy, why don't you take Wayne Bonner's super chat?
Yeah, we were talking about Kulusevski, and potentially there's rumors that Spurs might not want to pay the 35 million. Maybe Kulusevski doesn't even want to be here anymore. It's all up in the air here, and there's a bit of rumor and kind of a bit of doubt over Kulusevski's future. What do you think, Roy?
There might have been some tough discussion at the office, and Spurs are letting him know that they don't have to use the clause to buy him and get his act together, because we haven't seen anything like last year from him. Anything. And if it is that hamstring that holding his back and he don't dare to go more than 80% of max, he should go to another club. He's not good enough at 80%. He has to give 100% as everyone else.
Yeah.
I love it. No friendliness towards the Swedes, towards our neighbor.
No whatsoever.
If you knew the history between Norway and Sweden, you knew we wouldn't give any slack to Swedish player. But I love the
guy.
Nice
Brilliant.
one.
What do you think of Gil? Wayne Bonner has it here. Gil plus Kunu could alternate between the cam next year.
I don't think we can see. I don't think we can use anything we've seen from him because of the rubbish style of football from the Italian mob we've seen. I think even if Ryan Mason putting him in the team, it would be a completely different player. I think we have a lot of players out on loan and all this that could have done better job than we have been able to judge them upon till now.
So what other players then out there are you thinking that we've missed a trick with?
I'm going to be careful now.
Well, you've got like Bench, Regulon, Ndombele, Rose, or not Rose, Winks, people like that.
I think it was hard to see Rose go. Rose spoke his mind, and who can tell him he was all that wrong?
True. Very true. Yeah. He hasn't been sort of. I mean, I think I've seen this clip from Sky the other day where he's saying, I spoke up about the issues and I get banished, but yet Levy's admitted to them over one of the last statements. I mean, how does that work? I think that's exactly what Danny Rose more or less said. I mean, it's hard to argue with him, right, Roy?
Yeah, and who took over for Rose? That Arsenal supporter, that guy that couldn't go soon enough. My mind's Doherty as well, but
Arsenal fan, Regulon?
No, Aurier.
Oh, Aurier.
He had made my heart blow.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on? Speaking of right backs, then, what are your thoughts on Emerson? Do you feel like Emerson? Because we've had a lot of bad right backs over the years, it feels like, since Kyle Walker, especially, right, Roy? Do you feel like Emerson is more of a guy that you feel like you can get behind, or are you still a bit skeptical? What are your thoughts?
Like you all been saying, if all players could do like Emerson and try to improve, it would be. I'm really looking forward to see what Mason can get out of Emerson. I think he would be a total different player these 3 games ahead.
Would you drop Kulusevski and play that Porro and Emerson combination like you did last time? Because it looked to be like a good combo between the two, right? Porro and Emerson.
I think we all can agree Kulu doesn't deserve any place in the starting 11 now.
Yeah.
As Porro had played the last game now. How can we drop? We can't do the same mistake over and over and over. When some player have done some good job, some good games, we drop them. We don't let them have a run of games and prove themselves. Of course, Porro needs to start now. And of course, Royal needs to start now. And of course, Dier needs to start on the bench.
Could you maybe even start Kulu ahead of Richarlison, who, look, again, for me, bit underwhelming. I found his sort of link-up play wanting a lot of times.
That guy has been so unlucky. I just have to laugh. All those goals he has been disallowed and everything. I think it could have been so different if we had two more goals at least. I think he would be another player for Spurs. I think let him have his chance.
Were you pitching dancing with the equaliser against Liverpool?
I had two messages I had to delete in that Liverpool game before it was open. Yeah.
You already start talking.
But listen, guys, I'm at work and I really need to go now. So nice talking to you, and hope it won't be the last time.
Yeah,
you're doing a great job.
I hope we hear more of you around here, Roy. I really enjoyed that, my man. Big yourself up, and thank
well
you
done.
for coming on.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day at work, Roy.
See you, my friend. Soon, have a good one.
The Viking. That's the Viking on, ladies
Roy the Viking.
We have
Roy. We have our own Viking. Roy the Viking.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Bueno, look, me, you know what our feelings are on Gill. There's definitely a player in there. You can't have that much skill and not be a baller, not be a player, you know. For me,
I think he's effective in so many positions too. Like, he can play on the left, he can play through the middle, he can play on the right. Like, that's also useful to us. He presses, he loves to press, like, relentlessly. That could be useful to a manager. I just think he'll, like, ultimately will play for a big club at some stage, and I'd love to see him be playing for Spurs, in my opinion, Wayne. But sorry, Dave, you were probably saying.
Well, look, he hasn't. Like, the thing is, I think Roy has a fair point. You know, he doesn't. Like, yes, he works hard and he chases a lot of dead ball, but, you know, he's not a Conte-type player. He wasn't even a Nuno-type player, right? It's sort of like, you know, I just wonder, will a manager who thinks more on the front foot and wants to dominate possession in the opposition's half,
yeah, that's what
he will think of Gill. I think that'd be very, very interesting. Right. But big up, Wayno. Really appreciate the support. And everyone else, feel free to follow Wayno's lead, guys. You know, help support the channel, help support everything we're doing here. But look, let's keep cracking on. I believe it's Donovan next. Donovan, are you there, buddy? You at the bus stop? Turn on your camera if you're there.
Or I think it's Ryan and then Donovan, Dave.
I think Ryan said he wanted to go last, didn't he?
Okay, Ryan, yeah. If Ryan wants to go last, yeah.
Donovan, you there? No, Donovan. Daniel, are you there? No, Daniel. Ollie's there, so we'll go with Ollie, so.
There he is. Bringing Ollie now. Ollie-tron.
Donovan wants to go down the pecking order. Grand, no problem. So, look, let's get on the Ollie-tron.
Oh, there he is.
Ollie. I think you're on mute, lad.
I'm muted. I'm back. You can hear me.
There he is.
How you keeping that St. Pat's jacket on you, yeah?
Yeah, I'm wearing the red today. Fridays are red.
I wouldn't be saying that with pride and a smile, Ollie, to be honest with you. I think you'll be absolutely...
yeah, it's not about the colour, it's about the badge. That's what I always say.
For anyone that doesn't know St. Pat's Athletic, they're a League of Ireland team, and it's Ollie's team over here. He sort of heads up there every Friday to let loose. But Ollie, number of talking points today. What do you want to talk about when it comes to our great club, my man?
What do I want to talk about? Well, during the week, I know me and Jack was actually talking about it. I was getting a little bit worried that we haven't got a director of football yet, because like, I'm looking at like Chelsea. They're about to announce Pochettino, aren't they? Like any day now, and they got rid of Potter after Conte left, didn't they?
Yes.
So they're about to get him. Thinking back to last season when United got Ten Hag, like, I'm pretty sure he was announced before the season was over. So I'm thinking, like, we haven't got a director of football yet, and if we want to have a coach, like, even nearly announced by maybe just after the Leeds game, we don't. You would have thought we'd have a director of football by now, but we don't.
Fair point.
Well, So I'm a little bit worried that that I watched your video about Spurs and the guy at Brentford, the Sykes, is it?
Yeah, Lee Dykes.
Yeah, Lee Dykes.
Lee Dykes, yeah. They maybe I actually was not talking to him, but I tweeted Paul O'Keefe asking him about a director of football, and he kind of alluded to that. Maybe we have somebody in, but they're just not announcing it and making it go public. So that's what I'm hoping.
It looks like we're going about it a bit backwards to me, Ollie, where a lot of people have said, get the director of football in first, then get your manager list in, then get your choices and pursue them. It feels like maybe we've gone to the manager first and have identified which manager we want, and then we're sort of picking directors of football after that. Do you feel like that's a bit backwards? Do you understand maybe that Spurs have gone about it that way? Because to me, that's how it's coming across, is that Daniel Levy really has his eyes on Naglesmann. And then Naglesmann is sort of saying, well, you need a director of football first that I'm going to get on board with. And then sort of it's like they've kind of gone about it maybe in a bit sort of, I don't know, backwards, if you will.
You just have to hope that behind the scenes that they've already identified the director of football and it's already a done deal. And they've already got that agreement that this director of football can work with Naglesmann, and they can start talking to him now behind closed doors. That's what Paul O'Keefe said. He said that nothing has to be public. That's what he responded. So I have to hope that they're doing something, because I'm looking at all the players coming back on loan, like 8 players, and I was looking at them 8. I'd probably only keep 3 of them. Brian Hill, Reguilon, and obviously the new lad, Udogie. The other 5 have to go, along with
the players we already have right now.
Even Spence, you won't give Spence a chance?
Oh, sorry, Spence. I forgot about him. I actually forgot about it. No, I'd keep Spence, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people forget about Jet Spence.
Yeah, I would keep Spence, obviously, but the other Winks, Lo Celso, Ndombele and Rodon, they all have to go, along with Dier, Sanchez, Davis, and Loris. So that's 8 players we need to get rid of. I could probably put up with the rest staying, apart from them 8 have to go. So
is that realistic this summer, Ollie? Do you think the club will look to do something that drastic? For me, I actually believe they have to. Like, there's no point of carrying these guys into next season, because eventually they're going to have to play, and we know what's going to happen. Do you think the club are going to have that sort of ruthlessness and decisiveness this summer then? And potentially, do you see the club maybe ripping up a couple of contracts like they've done previously with Dele Alli, they've effectively done it. They've done it with Matt Doherty in January. They've done it with Serge Aurier previously. Do you see them maybe having to adopt that route maybe?
Yeah, you've just taken the words out of my mouth, because I was just thinking that they've done it with Aurier, they've done it with Ali. So you have to hope that they might decide, you know what, we'll rip up Winks' contract. We'll just let him, like maybe another Serie A team will take a gamble on him. I don't know how he played out. I never watched Sampdoria play, but maybe he's done enough to maybe a lower league Serie A team to take a little punt on him. Rodon, is Rennes going to buy him? I don't know if they will. No. Just sell him for cheap. Maybe rip up David. They're not going to rip up Davis's contract.
Isn't it also because these clubs aren't flush with cash like they used to be, maybe, Ollie, and so they're not able to sort of throw 5 million at a Winks like they used to. Like, they'd rather just get a guy on loan, or they'd rather just sign somebody for free or whatever it is. They're not going to pay money for somebody that they sort of just think, we can just get somebody just as good for free, really. Like, teams are now operating on a much tighter budget than before, so they're going to be much more ruthless. About where
I would say we're okay. We could probably get some money for Lo Celso. There's some talk about Aston Villa want him, so we could get some money for him. Ndombele hasn't had a disaster in Napoli. He's played a lot of games. He's played a lot of games. So you maybe someone will, obviously not the money we pay for him, but maybe you get like 15 million euro or
this
something.
Sounds crazy, but I could even see a Saudi Arabia going in on him or something like that, and giving us like 12 million, 15 million, and then they take all of his wages and everything like that. I don't think we're getting 20 plus million for Tanguy, but I imagine either there's going to be a team that comes in for him that's going to say, we'll build a team around you. You never have to work on defense ever again. And then there could be like a like a Chinese Super League, Saudi Pro League sort of thing that comes in for him.
That's what you've got to hope for, though, Jacko. The guy's on 200 grand a week. He's on the same as Harry Kane. It's not the fee that's the stumbling block.
Well, it's what type of player he is. Does he want to play at a high level, and does he want to be winning, Serie A Scudettos like he has with Napoli, or does he want just sort of the paycheck and the stability that a lot of football players at the end of the day do like? That's where it is.
I think he's one of them, Jack. I think he's a money merchant, if you want me to be brutally honest. It's like some of them top clubs, they might always take a gamble on him, but a loan. It's an entirely different proposition taking a gamble on a guy with a loan. It's like, look, our target's not available in the market, but Endon Bella is there. If you have the right support network behind him, you throw him off the bench, he can sort of create, but if it doesn't work out, we can send him back to Tottenham. The problem we've got with Endon Bella is the wages he's on, because the clubs that may be willing to take a punt on him, that may be willing to buy him, they don't have 200 grand a week to give him. And that's our biggest problem. So I think the question is will Endon Bella take a pay cut to join one of these clubs? Because if not, unfortunately, I think Tottenham, that's one contract they're just going to have to pay out and take the loss.
Wow.
Yeah, we may have to send him out on loan again, just to get him out of the place. But yeah, we have to. I definitely want to see him rip up Dier's contracts, rip up Davis' contract, Sanchez's contract. Just get rid of them by any means necessary. Because I was kind of like, oh, keep Davis as a squad player. But after thinking about it, I would actually prefer us to buy Langley and buy another left-sided centre-back to be ahead of him. The more I think about it.
I'd sooner see Longley than Davies. I actually agreed with that. That's crazy. Some people think we're crazy for how much we praise Longley. It's not like we even praise him, but I just think the standards are that low, Ollie, that I would keep Longley sooner than pretty much the rest of any of the other center backs we have. Of course, Romero.
I would. I'd like to get rid of the ones what's been here a long time. The only one I'd be willing to keep is as a squad player is Tanganga, because he's homegrown and maybe we can just get away with him being a backup for a while up until we improve that area.
Mia, by the way, Ollie, wants to sort of bring up again what you were kind of originally saying. She's been a member for 7 months, fan show member. She says, could it be that they want to match, being Spurs, a director of football with a manager and 100%. Hope it will work better? Also, big up. And if you don't know, give your head a wobble.
Go on.
Big up, Mia. Yeah. What is she saying? She's saying bring a director of football,
once, marrying the two, sort of going after both at the same time.
Appointing them at the same time. Appointing them at the same time, I think, is more what she's getting at now.
Okay,
Ragnick and Naglesmann kind of thing.
Yeah,
both of them together. Yeah, you never know. Hopefully, I just hope that we're not at the Leeds game. And we don't know who the sporting director is going to be or the manager is going to be. I'm hoping by the Leeds game, there'll be big reports on who it's going to be. They may not have announced it, but Romano's pretty much said, here we go to this coach being here. We know it's happening, but they haven't announced it. That kind of thing. We have, imagine.
I think we'll be at that stage. I think we will. I think we'll more or less know going into the last game.
Yeah, it's the very end of May the season's ending, so that means it just leaves June. We have to be kind of know who's in place beginning of June.
So, I agree with me. I do think that it'll be announced as sort of a package. Here's your director of football, here's your manager. This is the new era. Tottenham are going to sort of try and get fans excited. And it makes sense to do it together because you see with Naglesmann, he ain't coming without the other one, and you know what I mean. And it's sort of like. We know how important it is, to have that guy in recruitment. So I think it does have to come as a double package. But Ollie, this is a point I know you thrive on. Probably want to address as well. Harry Kane on the culture being wrong at Tottenham. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, here he's spot on. It was encouraging. I haven't actually watched the whole interview, but from what I've heard, it's encouraging that he's still saying we need to change the culture at Tottenham, and he's talking as if he's still a part of it. He isn't distancing himself from the situation. So there's a lot of United fans who are convinced that they're getting him, but they're blinding themselves to what he's actually saying. And I'd actually put me out actually. Maybe I wouldn't, but I'd put a lot of money on Kane being here at the start of next season. 100%. Because Alistair Gold made a great point Like, we could get like 80 million for him in the summer, but you could argue that Spurs would pay 80 million just to keep him for another season.
Yeah.
That's how good he actually is. Like, so
Yeah.
I just, yeah, if Kane's leaving Tottenham, it'd be on a free. We've got a whole year to convince him to stay. It makes no sense to cash in on him in the summer. They won't do it. It's one more year to convince him that we're that we're staying. Let's face it, Kane could then, like, what sense does it make for Kane to leave a team what's finished 6th to go and play for a team what finished 5th? Because they could easily finish 5th.
Yeah.
And they don't look, they might not have their ownership sorted by the summer. They don't know who they can buy, what the budgets are. It's not all rosy at Manchester United. So Kane's better off staying.
Yeah.
And trying to change things at Tottenham for another year at least.
100%. Look, Kane's not a fool either. He knows, there'll be no transfer fee involved if he moves next summer, so he's going to pocket at least, a quarter of that. So be a nice little earner for him, especially with the age he's at. What do you make of the comments where he's sort of alluding, like, new players coming in, there's no real foundation there, there's no one setting an example, right, Jack?
Yeah, he kind of basically touched on the fact that at winning teams, right, all 18, a guy gets brought in, he sort of gets shown the right course and how things are done here, the principles, the standards, and you see a lot of players kind of sort of, fit in seamlessly to a winning team. Whereas like team like Spurs, he kind of said it's not exactly like there are those foundations, so they're not always set up, to immediately succeed or, get off on the right foot.
I've only just found this out as you've told me. Like I said, I haven't watched the whole.
Here, I'll read it to you here. I'm just pulling it up right now. He says, I feel like a culture, from a culture point of view, we've been too far up and down over the last few years. So in any great team, any winning team, that they have a way of doing things, and whoever comes in or is added to that system, they can kind of fit in straight away, and they know the standards. Ours have been a bit too loose, I feel like, and we find a way to create that environment and we need to find a way to create that sort of environment that drives success.
Yeah, so well, he's spot on. Like, any player what's come in since 2019 has played under like 3 or 4 managers. So how can there be any sort of structure? We went from Pochettino to Mourinho. We binned Mourinho. Then we said we were going to go back to the way we was then, and then we went with Nuno, brought in Paratici, who isn't that type of director of football who would, I'm sure he likes good football, but he doesn't prioritise it. And then we bin Nuno and go for Conte, which is pretty much Jose Mourinho, like similar type of, and Conte was never committed in the long term. So how can you bring in a new player and say, this is our foundations, this is what we believe in, and this is the structure? Because there hasn't been. So I'm glad Kane said it out in public. And the fact that one thing I did hear about Kane say, he said he's going to talk to the chairman at the end of the season, and if he's saying it in public, surely they have to put their heads together and try and get some sort of plan together. They've got, like, they have to learn from the last 4 years. It's been an absolute shit show for everybody.
Yeah, it has. You would like to think that there has been lessons learned over the last 3 to 4 years, and hopefully everyone in around the club that needs to realize that, hopefully they have, Ollie. And look, I just find it sad that we're heading ourselves into another big massive summer where when's it going to end? It feels like every summer is do or die. It feels like every summer we've got endless amount of things to do, and getting rid of players, getting new players in, and this and that. And it's like, when can we just go into a summer and go, right, 2 more signings, we push on next season and go for everything? It's like, this should have been done well before this situation with Harry Kane came up, because now, you're also going into next summer that if Harry Kane does leave, you've got a massive hole to fill, and no doubt you're still going to have other positions to do. So, it's hard to see the situation improving. The only hope we have is get it right this summer, head into next season flying, and get Kane tied down for a new contract before he can start talking to clubs in January. But Ollie, why don't you tell people what's going on over here, my man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just a YouTube channel I created myself just to have a bit of fun. I do be in my van on my own a lot when I'm on my breaks and that, and I just thought, you know what, it's a great way just to get your opinions out or whatever you're thinking at the time. And I suppose you can go back on them and see what you said at a certain time, and and see if you were right or wrong. But yeah, just want to get my opinions out there, and I would appreciate it if anyone would give us a follow and have a look and comment underneath and just have a chat, really. And yeah, just basically talking about the games before and after. I've literally just released a video there, just talking about what we've talked about there, just the Spurs situation, what I think, players in, players out. Now, I have just realised I was talking about players on loan, and I've completely forgot about Spence. So I've done there. Amateur.
I said that's been his career, though, at Spurs, Ollie. I think a lot of people just forget about him. I think that's been his career thus far.
Yeah, so, but yeah, just something to kind of just chat away and get me thoughts out.
How do you have the energy to do it after a 5K, my man? That's what I'm curious about. How do you even want to talk to anybody after a 5K? I mean, I'm practically dead silent after I used to run a 5K.
Before we let Ollie answer that, right? We're going to let Ollie answer that. But by the time Ollie finishes answering that, I want Ollie up to 50 subscribers. He's on 29. There's definitely, look, we're good at this. We've always done this. The Harris Army. Let's get over to Ollie's channel. The link is here. Just click on it, smash that subscribe button, and then come back. So we're not letting Ollie go until he does reach the big 50. So get over there now and smash that subscribe button, because
thanks very much.
Legend. Ollie, how do you get the time to do it after doing 5Ks a run and after a full day's work?
Come on, man.
Well, I wasn't working the day I did that 5K and did the video. I won't big myself up too much, but yeah, you know what? After running, all the endorphins are out. You're feeling good, and you're thinking, right, I'm going to talk about the thing I love most now in a nice sunny day. And I tell you what, Jack, on Sunday, I'm going to run 5 miles, which is 8 kilometers, and then I'll do a video after that. I'll promise you that now. So that's my aim for Sunday. Anyway, I've got to try and run 8 kilometers. I'm trying.
I'm switching to the stairs. I'm going to switch to the stairs, Ollie. I kind of like with running. I just get so bored when I run that far. I just get so bored, even with the music and everything. It's just like, I can't believe you do that. And like after I'm done, I can barely even speak afterwards. Like it's just that dejected, but impressive, my man. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to what some other people do. I used to run marathons, but I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to get back, but it's a long way.
Nice.
Good man, though.
Ollie,
good man.
You're only up to 35 now, so I'm going to give you one more question. I'm really going to push this. Come on, everyone. Let's get Olatron to the magic 50. Let's make his day. So, Ollie, I'm going to give you one more question so that we can get people over there.
Yeah, actually, some breaking news actually just happened on Kulusevski. So,
okay.
Ollie, you're the first one that gets to touch on it. There was some skepticism about Kulusevski's future and whether he even wants to be here, whether Spurs want to re-sign it. Ali Gold, I guess, has just come out, maybe in some shape or form, and has said that Spurs expect Dejan Kulusevski to still be a Spurs player next season. So
that's brilliant.
Thoughts on maybe there being doubt in the first place, / do you think that would be a huge mistake if he wasn't a Spurs player?
Well, I always knew it was in Tottenham's court, whether it wasn't in any, it wasn't Juventus's choice to take him back. It was Tottenham's choice whether to pay the money or not. And after here, when we've seen him at his absolute pomp, he is unbelievable. And I also think that thanks very much for subscribing. I just seen that message there. But I think that he could become Cam as well. I think he's got potential. Yeah. So I definitely want to keep him. And I also, it put my mind at ease. I was listening to Chris Colin with the man there, Dave Harris, on. It was a great show. I really enjoyed it. And Becky said that, Paul O'Keefe said that he's staying, he's definitely staying. It's not, it must be just, his friend must be bored talking to the media, saying that he's going back to Juventus. I think that he's going to stay, and we'd be mad to let him go, wouldn't we? Absolutely mad. Imagine him under Naglesmann next season if we got Naglesmann.
Yeah, do you think he should be given a different sort of positioned, and just also, again, like some people have said, just see how he is under a different manager. It was the same argument
Yeah,
made,
like
with Brian Hill.
I like him on the right. He's brilliant. He gets the crosses in. It's kind of hard to describe what he actually does. He's not even fast. He can just take a ball past someone, but he's not fast. He's just so good with his feet, dropping the shoulder, and I just think he could play there, and he could also be I think he played as a cam when he played for Parma. He was on loan at Parma, and he played in a more central kind of attacking role. So he's got that in his locker too. He's only 23. Like, by the time he's 25, 26, you never know. He could be like a Bruno Fernandes. He could be a De Bruyne type player. We should definitely keep him.
Love that. Love that.
Definitely.
I feel like for me, I just, that somebody brought up before, I think, I forget who it might have been, so I forget, but apologies. But someone mentioned also as well, like if Kulusevski goes, you have to end up replacing him still. And can you really find somebody similar for 35 million? Can you really guarantee that he's going to be nearly as talented, nearly as high of a ceiling, all those sort of things? Like that's, it just seems like you're so many problems that we already have this summer. And Ollie, you said, I mean, nearly 8 players that we want to look to get rid of. Adding Kulusevski, in doubt to that list of problems is just not worth your time. It's just not a problem you want to make. And the same thing with Harry Kane.
Yeah, and the one problem we don't have is our attacking options. Like, honestly, next season, if we go into the season with Perisic, Richarlison, Kulusevski, Kane, Son, Brian Hill, them 6, I'm happy enough with them 6. It's the centre midfield. It's maybe an attacking midfielder, maybe centre backs, and a goalkeeper is what we want. With them attackers we have, we don't need any attackers, in my opinion. We've got enough.
Yeah.
I would say though, Ollie, just quickly, 9 more needed over to get Ollie to 50. Let's get it done. 9 more. Come on, guys. We don't ask you to do it very, very often. Let's look at the smile on the guy's face below me. It means so much to him. Get over and do it. 9 more. But do you know what, Ollie? I would say, look, if you're not going to, you bring back Gill, I think you might get away with the options. But if you don't take up Danjuma the option and you do let go Lucas Moura, I do feel potentially you might need one more.
Maybe one.
To be interesting to see.
Kind of forgot about Danjuma being on loan, actually. I forgot that he's going. Yeah, maybe a replacement for Danjuma and Lucas is going. But thing is, we've been using Perisic as a wing back most this season, and I just think that as a front 3 player, he can do the job there as well. He can also, I'm happy enough with him playing wing back as well, if he has the right defenders behind him to protect him so that he can do what he does best. But yeah, with all the players we have to get rid of during the season, well, in the summer, and the centre backs we need, and the goalkeeper we need, and possibly getting in maybe a cam. I'm just saying, the attack, them attackers, we can probably park it for one transfer window because we just badly need them centre backs and goalkeeper more than anything.
Yeah,
that's priority.
Massive, absolutely massive. Come on, guys, 7 more. We're nearly there. Let's do it. We'll take this from Donovan, and then we will let you go, Ollie. We're going to have to let you go, but 7 more.
I really appreciate that. I wasn't expecting you to do that now, so fair play to you.
You're going to embarrass myself and Jack if we don't get it done. We have a 100% record of hitting the targets that we set. Come on,
hopefully
guys.
That gives Cork City some good luck, maybe, and then say
Cork City need all the luck they need. They're losing every week.
Even if you get it to 49 and someone doesn't want to do it just to ruin it, don't mind. Just get it to 49 even. But Donovan says off to work, lads. Can chat later if there's time. No worries at all, Donovan, my man. Sorry we missed you, brother. But look, Monday night, make sure you get on. And we'll get you on. Just let me know when you're free and I'll put you in. And I'll make sure we have a spot for you,
Donovan. Yeah.
I really do want to speak to you tonight, Donovan.
And I would say, Donovan, quickly too. I feel like we just keep missing you. Like you're on, and then you're either stuck in the queue a little bit, or just sort of things end up coming up, or you have a nice trip to the sauna, and a nice massage. Those things have come up as well too. But Donovan, I would just say next time you're on, if you come on maybe a bit early, where before maybe even the show gets started, would love to give you that first spot. Would love to put you straight up in the front of the queue if there's ever a chance. But best of luck to you on your way to work, my man. And let me know if you're headed to the gym and headed to that sauna later as well.
No, do you know what? You're spot on, Jack. And he's often no problems to let people go ahead of him as well. So, Donovan, your next Friday, I guarantee you, as soon as you're in, we'll get you on first. That's a promise I'm going to keep to you, my man. So big yourself up, Donovan. Because I do like speaking, this guy used to come on to me on the pre-match bump-ups when we were talking TV. We used to have great discussions. And I love him. He's slightly crazy like me. So it's brilliant to see. So big up, Donovan. But Ollie, we are going to have to let you go.
Yeah, I really.
Two more people are saying. Two more. That's crazy. Everybody.
One more now. One more. Look, we got to 49. No doubt someone's holding out.
That's it. 49. Bobby Charlton's goal record for England. So I'll take
your dog to do it.
Yeah.
And then love that. 50. Well, Ollie, you go and enjoy the football this evening, my man. And, enjoy yourself. See you soon.
It was great time to you, lads. And hopefully it's a happy day tomorrow.
100%. 100%. Well, Ollie, hopefully we get the win tomorrow, and I'll speak to you soon, buddy. All right?
Love you and leave you. See you later, lads. Have a good one.
See you later, Ollie.
Yeah. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Absolutely awesome effort by the Irish Hotspur Army over there on Ollie Tron's channel. Absolutely love it. Everyone pick yourselves up and take a massive bow. Brilliant effort. You're absolute legends. I love you all. Honestly, even the support you guys gave me over on Chris Cowan's channel yesterday, absolutely incredible. Honestly, I owe so much to you guys. So you're all absolute bloody legends. But look, Jacko, we've even smashed it. We've gone above and beyond. I love it.
Go, Ollie.
I love you guys.
Over the line, baby.
I love you all. I really do. And I love it. He always rubs it in with the sauna, Donovan. He knows I love saunas.
Well, we're going to have to make you late next time, Donovan, because Dave said you have to come on first with us. We're going to drag you on here. Even if you have a date with the sauna, you have to come on with us first before we even get to the sauna. Big up, my man.
For sure. And Ollie's in here saying thank you to everyone as well. He's gone off crying now. He's too emotional. He loves it. Big up, Ollie. Absolutely love that. And big up Spurs 89, brother. It's absolutely great to see you, my man. I haven't seen you in some time, and it's good to see people popping back in and good to check in with them. So absolute legend. Big yourself up, man. But look, let's keep this moving, Jacko. We've got 3 guests left. Who we starting with? Daniel, I believe.
Yeah, Daniel Larson, I think. He's taking the call.
Another one from Norway. Let's get him on.
Norway Army was strong today.
Big up, Daniel. How are you keeping, brother?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Did you know the previous Viking that was on, Roy?
No, I didn't. No, sadly, no, I didn't. You muted. Had you muted?
we need to get you. We need to get you guys connected over there. Your little Norway Spurs club. Absolutely.
I mean, more the better, Yeah.
Torsvet was his way of getting into Spurs. I imagine that's a common route for a lot of for Norwegians.
Yeah, older generation, definitely.
But Daniel, what's got your goat this week? What have you read that said, you know what, I need to get this off my chest?
Well, not really. I haven't really, to be honest, been read into too much this week, so I don't. I know. I can start with. Well, actually, you can ask me, then we go from there.
I just know for a fact, Daniel, like recently when I've seen you in kind of the watch-alongs and the pre-match build-ups, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of just sort of feel like you're a bit sort of dejected, a bit sort of like emotionless right now, right? When it comes to Spurs, like you've lost that sort of fire and that sort of energy. And I mean, this game against Aston Villa, I mean, what do you feel like? Do you have any nervousness? Do you have any expectations going into it? Do you really care at all, for the rest of the season? Like, because that's what I've been, at least if I recall, recently you're sort of kind of feel like these Spurs players need to do a whole lot more in order to earn your trust back, in order to earn your sort of love back, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying it, to be fair. I need to see, I don't know how they need to do a lot to win my trust back, to be fair. I mean, this season I've written off. I can't get motivated, to the end of the season anymore. But I still watch the games because I love watching games with you anyway. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just love watching games with you, even though I'm not.
Do you know what it is? I think we all share the same emotions, right? We're all screaming at the same time. We're all celebrating at the same time. It's look, we love watching them with you guys out there as well. It's something we've all never really had before, which is amazing that there's so many like-minded people out there all over the world that can enjoy a game of football together. I mean, I find that absolutely mind-blowing. It's that's the plus side of technology, I suppose. It's absolutely brilliant. But Daniel,
I think just to touch on what Daniel's kind of been thinking about these days, like, and maybe to give you more juice for it here, Daniel, like, even when I was making the title today, I was like, Aston Villa versus Spurs. I was like, it's a huge game, but I was like, battle for the Conference League, question mark. It just like, you just feel like that sounds a bit, sort of lame. That sounds a bit, sort of underwhelming. Is that what you kind of mean, where it just feels like nothing left to really play for, or just, like you said, just sort of the season has kicked you and beaten you and, put you down too many times, maybe, this team?
100%. Yeah. I mean, when this last season ended, I was on a high, I thought we were going to win trophies, maybe even challenge for the league. And then here we are now, challenge for Europa League, or Conference League, which I do not want Conference League at all. Europa League, fine, I guess. The Conference League, no way. I do not want to be in anywhere near that competition. So
why is that? Is it just not worth your time? Do you feel like you don't want the embarrassment of Enes Mura again? What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly. I think it's going to be one of those going to go away to a random team and lose. I just feel like we have that in us still, and I can't handle that anymore. No, I just can't take that because, players get paid that much and lose to part-time plumbers. I can't do that.
Yeah, that is the risk of it. But let's say you're in a semifinal against AZ Alkmaar, kind of like the likes of West Ham are. Do you feel like you could trust Spurs to get to a semifinal? That's the question, because that's what I was thinking about. Like, West Ham, regardless of how they got there, they did eventually get to that semifinal. Would you even trust Spurs to get that far? Because once you make it that far, it definitely gets exciting. I feel like it definitely does sort of feel like, this is an opportunity here. But I guess that's what it is. Would you trust Spurs to even get to a semifinal in a Conference League?
No, I don't. I just don't trust them to get that far. I can't. We need the whole squad rehaul before I trust any of those. Some I can trust, of course, but just I know, like, whoever managing us, even if Naglesmann, then they're gonna weak out and just no, I can't bother. That's how they are, sadly, and I hate being like that. Fuck, shit.
Yeah. No, look, I hear you. I hear you on that, brother. Look, my only hope is that we use it next season to sort of flip the script, right? You sort of blood through some youngsters. You give players back on loan, you keep them around, you put them out there in them games as well, and maybe the likes of Richarlison out there, give Harry Kane a rest. People like that you put in them games next year. And look, I'm one of these, Daniel. I'm convinced you're going to see a hell of a lot better when you do this, because I grew up in an era where I watched plenty of young players being blooded through the Europa League, through the UEFA Cup. Plenty. You had Harry Kane. A lot of other players also came through them. European competitions, got minutes, and that's what sort of put their name in and around the first team, because the actual manager can put eyes on these guys. We haven't done that the last 3, 4, 5 years, and we've suffered. We've suffered for the hands of it, because you don't have young, hungry players. You don't have players that are motivated by trying to make a career in the game or by trophies. You've got players who are motivated by money. The prize pool for these competitions that they're playing in towards the players is so minuscule that they don't give a shit. It's not good. If you're not motivated by trophies, then get the fuck out of Tottenham Hotspur. We as fan base, we're not going to accept that or tolerate that anymore. We want guys that at least want to have the aspirations of going and winning trophies. So, Daniel, I'm guessing if we use it the way I want them to use it, would you be more excited about it?
Of course, if they want to fight for trophies, then I want to be in every competition. Then I want to be, go deep in every. But when I know that, we're gonna scrap this one for this to get top 4, try and get top 4, then that just so pisses me off. And we've seen that.
Yeah.
And you see, even West Ham now. How the fuck? I mean, potentially being in the final here, and then our players look. I mean, how can our players look at that and say, how the fuck are they in the final?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you,
imagine,
Daniel. That's what I was going to throw into the mixer here. Is like, isn't it, Dave and Daniel? Like, how much it just comes down to whether you take that competition seriously, whether you respect that competition. Like, it's not always whether you even play the best players or pick the best, team. It's actually just whether the manager, first of all, respects that competition and takes it seriously and takes it as an opportunity. And then that bleeds into the players, but he needs to also make sure that the players he's picking for that 11 on the day also give a damn about the competition as well. And I think that's where it just simply comes down to, because we've seen also at the same time us piss away chances in the FA Cup. We've seen us, not take chances in the League Cup and the Carabao. So why is it then that, we all of a sudden, would, expect us to do it in the Conference League or other competitions? We've kind of have just always bowed out in a really sort of pathetic, kind of lazy manner in whatever competition it is. So I'm actually more keen on the Conference League just for the fact that it feels like we always end up losing to like a Sheffield United or a Man City or a Chelsea. In whatever team it may be, we seem to always get to a semifinal of like a League Cup or an FA Cup, only for us just to lose in the end anyways. So why I feel like maybe a Conference League where the best team you ultimately come up against is like an AZ Alkmaar or is like sort of, a West Ham or like something like that. That basically is the best team you'll come up against. And that's why I feel like the Conference League, if they take it seriously, it's technically an easier competition. Whereas the FA Cup or the League Cup, I don't think is actually an easier competition if you take seriously. You ultimately will come up against a Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Man City, I think. At least in my opinion.
And I'm all to be proven wrong. If we do end up in the Conference League, and because
we got to take something seriously, Daniel. Like we need to look at one competition. Just take your pick of one of the competitions and take it seriously and actually give a damn. And that's what I feel like. That's why Spurs should sort of look at any of the competitions that's at their disposal and sort of feel like that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity. The Premier League, we all know, isn't really an opportunity. So they should look at all the other league, all the other competitions as an opportunity.
Of course. But with the Conference League, the minimum is to win it. That's the minimum. Bare minimum. It's not. We're too big of a club to not win that competition. So that's why if we do end up it, I expect to win it.
Yeah. See, I think many fans, Daniel, they're sort of expecting us to roll out into it with more or less the same shit next year and just be embarrassed again. And I think fans are at the point where they're fed up with their name being put in the mud by Slovenian fucking factory workers. Tottenham are making, the front pages of their national newspapers after it. I'm fed up with going out to Vitesse and blaming the away fans for being noisy. I mean, that's even more embarrassing. Not only were you embarrassing on the pitch, you're now embarrassing us in the press conferences, and it's like, what are we supposed to do? Memo Vitesse before we go there and go, by the way, to keep noise decibels below 50, you're doing us a massive favor. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's where fans are coming from, where they're sort of, I don't think it's an arrogance towards a trophy. When I was thinking about this the other day, I'm not sure it's an arrogance towards a trophy. I think they just don't want to be embarrassed anymore.
100%. We're done. We're done with embarrassment.
I'm starting to feel like Daniel now after this call.
I'm sorry. I
can see where Daniel's coming from now after all this. I can see where Daniel's coming from in all of this. I think now I'm in your position, Daniel. Some of us needs to. We're almost switching places now. I'm trying to get you on my side, and now I'm on your side.
Daniel, what do you think about the big man, big number 10 up front, Sir Edward Harold Kane? Being snubbed here for Footballer of the Year. How has Saka got in there ahead of him? Gone missing when Arsenal needed him the most. De Bruyne has been on the bench most of the season. I can accept maybe a Haaland, an Odegaard, potentially a Rashford. If I'm having a really good day and it's a really good Friday.
Yeah, you got to be generous.
But like, that's Harry Kane out there. He's the only one that's given Haaland any competition on the towards the Golden Boot.
And for for us being absolutely dreadful, zero creativity as well. And if we were on form this season, God knows how many goals he would have scored.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I don't know if they looked. What is this? Is like who's voted for this? Is it like are the player votes or is it fan votes or who votes for this shit?
No, it's not the fans one. I don't think it's. Actually, I'm
Might
not
be
sure.
probably journalists. Sometimes journalists usually collaborate and vote together on a lot of these sort of things.
It's a joke. I don't really care too much about stuff like that. After Harry Kane, when he got the most goals, most assists in win player of the year, I was like, fuck this shit. Can't be bothered.
If I'm not mistaken, too, Daniel, I feel like he was also, or Sonny was also, I think, omitted or left out last season too, which almost makes you think even deeper, right? Like it's like, well, now that's basically 2 top scorers in a row practically that have just sort of been left out of it like entirely. Like it couldn't be more glaringly obvious. And
I mean,
then it just makes you not want to take any of these things. It loses all credibility. I think it was the same thing with the Ballon d'Or for me, with the most recent Ballon d'Or. I just feel like once Messi won it, I was just kind of like, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, the Ballon d'Or or anything.
But I will say though, I mean, 2 Norwegians in there. I mean, how Premier League, that's absolutely insane. It's never gonna happen again.
Yeah,
so I got it like a little bit. I mean, even though it's kind of like, sad in a way because rivals, but a little bit of pride, I guess.
No, look, I don't blame you for being pride. They're actually 2 of the names that I said actually deserve to be in there. To be fair to them, do you know what I love about it, Daniel? It's the mentality of. Look, I know Odegaard's an Arsenal player, but it's the mentality of him, right? He sort of does stand up in the big moments. Look at Erling Haaland, not phased by a team. What's it with the Norwegian mentality over there? It's rock solid.
Oh, yeah, we got the confidence is above. Like, we're kind of fucking assholes in a good way, But
and you've dominated us at the Aviva, by the way. You've got some other players in there that are tidy enough as well.
Good team. We're building a good team, to be fair. So hopefully,
surprise package for the next Euros.
Any center backs we could look at?
Östigård. He's really good. I like him. Napoli. Really aggressive center back.
So, if I put down Norway as a surprise package for the next Euros and I've got to put a $5 on it, how far do you think we'll go?
Well, I don't know if we kind of started bad in the qualifiers, so I don't know. we lost to Spain and drawn to another random team. They're kind of like Spurs, Norway, to be fair. Just kind of disappoints you in the last second. Like
it should be better.
Yeah, it should be, and of course. I have to fucking sit there again, but there you go.
Love that.
Anyway.
Well, Daniel, big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the call in today, and hopefully we get to Inter, all right?
Well, yeah. Well, I got some. Can I talk a little bit about?
Yeah,
I got some. But the Palace game, I looked at the tactics, and it was a little bit Naglesmann, and I know that's going to sound a little bit ridiculous, but Emerson was kind of playing like Benjamin Pavard, kind of rotating
like right side center
back to right back. We switched to when we defended, we switched to 3 at the back at times. With Ben Davies still was kind of forward a lot, but kind of switched with Emerson going more, and then we had Romero, Lane. Poor was still, of course, incredible in attack. So, like I said, and I said that.
Emerson and Porro is the combo you feel like for Villa? Would you stick with that?
We the same. We got to use the same team. There's no way we can change. Well, maybe Skip for Sar or Sar for Skip, but other than that.
What about Perisic for Davis?
Yeah. Perisic actually been good on the Mason. I actually kind of been impressed.
Do you know what it is for me, Daniel? Do you know what it is for me? I want to see if we've got a solid 3. I want to see if we can literally play a Perisic and a Porro either side, because effectively, I think that is where Conte would have wanted to get with it, where he had a solid back 3, he had 2 wing backs that predominantly can be used more in the forward areas rather than the defending being called into question. Because, Porro and Perisic have both really been highlighted an awful lot this season about their defensive capabilities, which I understand. But we also got to understand it's not why we brought them in here. We brought them in here to contribute to the attack and play. It's what fans wanted. No one wanted Sessegnon. You all said he was shit going forward. And everyone had to go at Emerson from being shit going forward. So now that we get what we wanted, now we're ridiculing them for what we ridiculed the other guys for, which is being defensively good, but not being able to be good going forward. So I want to know if this system could truly work with 2 attacking wing backs. And I think tomorrow we'll get a good indication.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to all out attack tomorrow. We just got to try and score as many goals as possible.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Unai Emery against Mason is kind of unfair on Mason. And I feel Unai Emery, I know he's kind of been, disrespected, but I think he's an elite, almost world-class manager. I think he's absolutely a wonderful tactician, and I think he's going to kind of attack he's going to just, school him in some ways. Because he did, I remember, against Newcastle, they completely destroyed Newcastle. And that was because of Unai Emery's tactics. He put McGinn completely on burn, and it was just so. I mean, I was so impressed. So
I agree.
If Mason can somehow, deal with that, I'm going to be fair play, man. So
I agree with you on that, because we've got better players, far superior players, right through most of our 11. I do feel Emery will fancy his chances of being able to do Tottenham tactically. I think that's how he's plotting to win that game. I think you're absolutely spot on, Daniel.
He's a very meticulous sort of manager. He's a bit like a Guardiola type. He's not like the Ancelotti where he's like cool and laid back or anything. Like Emery is very sort of like meticulous with how he does everything, and like has, he's the type of manager he wants you standing right in that exact spot. Like not an inch to the left or an inch to the right. He's that sort of kind of guy. And he also can switch things up too, Daniel, which sort of worries me, because I've seen him where, like you said, against Newcastle, right? They were absolutely all over them, and they really took it to Newcastle. But then against us, remember against Antonio Conte, he put like every man and his dog, behind the ball, in that game. And we were finding it impossible to like break them down. Like they were just setting up to just sort of hit us on the counter and hit us in the transition. Like they had no intention of sort of like dominating the ball or having any sort of onus in the game. So that's what worries me, is that he's not very predictable, actually. Emery, he can kind of do both. He can be really defensive, or he can also be, pretty attacking, I think, too. So see how it goes. Your fellow friend, or not your fellow friend, that's horrible. I just assumed all Norwegians know each other. But Roy was saying Kulusevski needs to be dropped, and has probably been given too many chances, actually. Do you feel like, what do you think? Drop Kulu for Richarlison, keep Pedro Porro in, what do you think on that? Kulusevski.
Well, I would like actually see Danjuma play. I just feel like he deserves a start. I mean, Kulu, and we can talk about Kulu. I'm sorry for dragging on, but you can talk about.
No, man. Go ahead.
With Kulu, he's been poor this season. He's been, kind of dreadful at times. But come on, class is permanent, form is temporary, or the other way around, whatever. But and he's gonna. I think you just need, season to end, refresh, and then he's going to be incredible next season under the new manager. That's how I feel, because we know how good he can be. Yeah. And that just doesn't disappear overnight.
This is what surprises me, though, Daniel. It's like we already know what his top level is, and we know his top level is really good, and it's good enough. And it's just about getting him back there. It's not like we're making a decision on a player where his top level has been at another club. We haven't quite been able to capture it, and we're deciding whether we think we can or not. And that's why I'm surprised about it. It's sort of like, we know the level the guy is at. We know, and I'd argue, sort of before the World Cup, before the injury he got at the back end of October, Kulu was good. Kulu was good. Sort of since then, and since he's come back and stuff like that, is where the real big drop off has happened. But you also got to remember, he came back into a team where it completely changed, because up until he got injured, we were winning the majority of our games. We were getting over the line. Okay, we weren't playing fantastic, but we were winning. When he's come back from injury, he's walked into a shit show. A complete massive shit show. And it's sort of like the dynamics are a bit different. So, he's even walked back in, and he's got Porro to play with now, not Emerson. And it's like, him and Porro are ballers. But you're not asking Kulu to do the same thing you once were. So, for me, I think it's just a no-brainer. I think you got to sign him. I really do. I don't even understand why there's any hesitation. It's
35 million. Come on, that's a steal nowadays as well. So just do it.
They spent more on absolute shit.
Yeah.
Now they want to be. You spent 100 million on Lo Celso and Ndombele, right? And now they want to be rational with their spending, and they're scrutinizing it. I mean, fuck off. Do it years ago, not now when we actually want to. Drives me insane.
Also, Daniel, just one last.
You work with.
We need to. before we need hopefully a manager comes out quick as possible, because before we sign players, we need to have a new manager before we sign players, because we don't know who he wants, and that's why we got free signings. Ndika, I really want Ndika from Frankfurt, but we can't sign him, before we know whose manager is going to come in. At the end of the day, even though he's better than most of what we have, but still, God knows manager and be like, I don't want him. So
his contract is coming up though,
right?
Right?
That's free contract as well. So, that's why
I reckon he's already signed somewhere, to be honest with you. Like you're not hearing many rumors of him being linked anywhere and stuff like that. I have a feeling he might have signed on the dotted line somewhere.
Probably. Yeah. Same with Kamada. He's signed for
Dortmund.
Dortmund.
Fine, right? We'll wait and see. Kamada's another good choice. A lot of people have sort of mentioned Kamada.
Yeah.
If we brought in a Naglesmann, he'd be good because he's from the Bundesliga as well, right? Kamada.
But I think he signed for Dortmund. I think.
That's right. You're spot on. Good job, Daniel. Good knowledge.
Thank you. Hey, got something.
I was gonna say quicker than I was on that one. Spot on.
Love it.
Gotta have sometimes. No, okay. Now I'm gonna stop. Sorry for dragging on, but my passion is gonna be back next season. Don't worry.
They've beaten down and broken you, Daniel, and you can take more than a month, man. Like, it's only been a few weeks. Like, Dave and I are talking every day, and we're acting like months have passed. Like, it's only been a few weeks, since these results, and they've beaten down and broken you, and they should accept that. The players should accept that. It shouldn't be you, needing to apologize or sort of needing to, tell yourself to get back into it. Like, it's up to them to earn that love from you back. It's up to them.
But the thing is as well, it's not just you, Daniel. There's thousands out there that are just like you, but also myself and Jack included. Myself and Jack were giving up on this season a long time ago. We just want the season to end. We want the pain to end. We want the embarrassment to end. We just want to get into the summer, see what we can do, and see what sort of optimism there is going into next season. You're not the only one. People used to say to me, Dave, you used to be so positive. What happened? And it's like, what do you want me to be positive about? Last season it was there. I could see it. I went against the grain. I said weeks, even months before, no, we will get top four. I have belief in this team. But this season, there's nothing there. So, there's no need for anyone to apologize. If anyone should be apologizing, it should be them players. It should be them apologizing. Not the fans for not apologizing, for not having optimism and stuff. You're not going to have optimism if there's nothing to be optimistic about, So don't apologize, Daniel. It should be them players apologizing to us, brother.
And also, I saw Ellie in the comments, and you, Jack. Højbjerg, he's going to be daddy next season again. Don't worry about it. So,
come on. I need that. Need that, baby.
Don't worry.
Well done, Daniel. Good man.
There you go.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith.
Yeah.
Ellie's happy to hear that as well. I know, Ellie. Hopefully you're listening, Ellie. Got your army. Got Daniel part of the army.
Love that. Well, Daniel, great call today, actually. Really, really good call. And hopefully we speak to you Monday.
Yeah. Take care, guys. And see you tomorrow.
Take care.
See you tomorrow, my man. Have a good one. Have a good Friday.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Big Daniel up in the comments. Absolute great call from the man today. A lot to say, which is great. I love that. Absolutely love that, So big yourself up, Daniel. Everyone, we are going into our last two guests. If you could, please make sure you have smashed that like button. If you haven't, if you do, that would be absolutely awesome. And we're also on the big push for 10K. So feel free to let your Spurs friends know where to come. So that'll be awesome. Let's get the push to 10K. And also, if you have enjoyed the show, if you have enjoyed the discussion, if there's any topics you think we've missed out, why not put it in a super chat and help support us? And we'll be sure to give it a great discussion. But look, let's move on to these last two guests. Who do we start with?
I think it's Rhino. Ryan, are you ready, my friend? There he is. Get him in here.
Got the thumbs up. Big up, Ryan. How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm feeling better now after I've had that yelling, screaming, and shout.
Good. It's good to hear, my man. Jezza, you're short of having a milk bottle and feeding that cat like it's a baby, my man.
Mate, do you know what? He actually feels like my baby. Go on then. Go on, shoot off. Go on, go back and lay down then.
George Newman flying across the background. But Daniel, or not Daniel, sorry, Ryan. Ryan, what do you want to talk about, my man? What points have we got?
look, right, there's just so much that's going on at the moment. Hang on, let me just quickly let him get out because he wants to back to her. Sorry. Go on then.
You shouldn't have said about letting him out. Kurt Zuma's listening. Anyway.
Oh, no, I didn't mean out. I just meant out into the hallway. Fucking hell, I wouldn't let him go any further. No, first of all, the Palace game, yeah, Matt. I mean, I obviously didn't really watch it much because it wasn't on TV. But I obviously watched it on Match of the Day. And I said this, but after I watched it on Monday morning before going down to London, I turned around and I said it was the best defensive performance we've had all season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was. Literally, it was. You couldn't ask for a better defensive performance from that defence all season. If only they had played like that every game throughout the whole season, we'd be in a whole much better position now.
Well, I think the thing is, the biggest thing is you took out Eric Dier. You got 3 guys across there. Langley, no one accuses Langley of dropping off. They accuse him of getting skinned. But, if you're getting skinned, it more than likely shows at least you're willing to get stuck in, right?
Yeah.
You've got Romero in the middle instead of Eric Dier. People have questioned Romero on the right-hand side and questioned Romero on the left-hand side of Eric Dier. But people want to praise Eric Dier for an average performance. And this is why I was getting worried about some of the conversations that maybe were starting to develop. It's like, we're told, Eric Dier had a good game. You have to praise him today. Okay, fair enough. Praise where praise is due. But, let's talk about why a Romero and a Langley look so rash. Let's talk about why, they don't look like the players that even maybe they looked like earlier on in the season, or Romero's case last season. That's because Eric Dier doesn't get stuck in. He drops off. He drops off. He doesn't communicate. He runs where he wants to and points at other people. He does not communicate. He doesn't know how to communicate, and he doesn't want to get stuck in. He's very happy with dropping off all the time, right on top of Hugo Lloris and stuff like that. And it's like, you look at that back line, Emerson, good in the air. Romero, where people have criticised him in the past for not being so good in the air, was good in the air against Palace. Langley as well. But not only that, they got stuck in, right? No one was caught out of position. No one was backing off. But also, they were so good on the ball, Ryan. So good on the ball. Okay, we couldn't get it progressed to the forward line as much as we wanted to. But look at the possession we had. A lot of people were saying on board, and I'm like, I get it. It's a lot better than conceding 3 goals, though, every single game. And it's like, how many times have you seen Eric Dier on the ball, balloon it into the stands, give it straight like Liverpool, 3 or 4 times, straight back to their centre-backs, just come at us again. And it's like, we didn't have that in the team, and that's why we defended the way we did. That's why that was there, and that probably answers your question. Why we haven't seen that before earlier on in the season is because, you've got 3 players out there, and me and Jack have spoke about this a number of times. There's people out there who want to defend, who love defending, who have a passion for defending, not someone who's scared. And that's the biggest difference right now. And just quickly, big up Phil P. Huge Friday love, Dave, Jack, and all the chat. Big up Phil P. Huge love to you, my brother. Absolute legend. Hopefully you are keeping well. But Rhino, what do you think on that? On what I was saying there about rocket boots?
Yeah, well, it's just what you said when you was on my channel, Dave. Literally, like the same thing. It's literally the same thing that same conversation we had. What, like 10 days ago? Now it was
about that.
Yeah, about that, right? And it's exactly the same conversation. And do you know what? It makes me laugh that we had the same conversation no more than 10 days ago, and 10 days later, there's a whole big difference. Hello? It makes no sense.
But also, no Hugo Lloris back there, You got Fraser Forrester in there, a lot more of a calm influence, which, look, Jack, I'm not going to take your point. You spoke about that a long time, right? About having a calm influence behind that back line as well.
I think you just need a calming influence from practically everybody in the back line these days. You're pressed so much, and you're pressed to the extent where the center backs have to be, I think, as well as the goalkeeper, have to be nearly as good on the ball as midfielders, because they now know that if you press higher than the midfielders, you can probably make mistakes out of the center backs and goalkeepers, and they're just being asked to do so much more with the ball. Even we talk about Moonhead and we talk about Sanchez. Like, the reason why these guys can't make it at the top level anymore is because if you are being pressed in that sort of manner, you are going to probably make mistakes, and you're going to probably give the ball away in bad areas and give the ball away in the areas where the team wants you to, because they're not just pressing just to press. They're pressing so that you give the ball away in certain areas that they can take advantage of and have a high chance of, creating goals quite easily from. And you look at some of the players we have, Dier, Lloris, Sanchez, are all very uncomfortable with their first touch. They're usually very uncomfortable with even picking out any sort of decent pass of any kind. And so they end up kind of getting targeted and taken advantage of. I just feel like the way the game is nowadays, a lot of players maybe who recently could get away with not being all that great on the ball are now getting really exposed. Even you look at a Harry Maguire, Dave, like a Harry Maguire, he's good on the ball when he isn't pressed. But when he is pressed, he ends up making mistakes, right? And it's another similar thing. It's just players that I think who are getting pressed and are forced to have to make quick decisions and are forced to have a good touch, or just getting kind of ridden out of this game and are kind of getting exposed for their lack of technical skill. And a lot of positions nowadays require you to be much more of a technical player than it is sort of like a physical player. Like, you can't just be like a Vidic and be, just a good defender. You have to be a Vidic, but also be good on the ball. And it's the same thing with Lloris. You can't just be a good shot stopper. You have to be good on the ball as well. It's almost as important now.
Yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Can I just go back onto that question, what actually you put up just a minute ago, Dave, about binning all of Lloris's and everyone else's contract? And they said, Levy, please. Yeah, right? Levy will not do that, right? Levy doesn't, that's it, right? Levy will not bin Lloris's, Dier's contract, because he's going to lose money. He is. He's actually just going to lose money. So what is the point of him losing money when he can just keep them under contract and say, here you go? There's no point. I'm sorry, Dave, but he won't bin them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely spot on. Just before I answer that, Rhino, from Alistair Gold about 50 odd minutes ago, Tottenham expect Dejan Kulusevski to still be a Spurs player next season. That's absolutely great news.
Yeah, we read that earlier.
But Zoe says, Alistair Gold update, bad news.
Yeah, there's some bad news I'm seeing bad news from Dan Kilpatrick. Dan Kilpatrick has come out and said Tottenham respect Naglesmann, but do not consider him for the current job at the moment. So they're not considering, it says Tottenham respect Julian Nagelsmann, but do not consider him a current candidate for the Spurs job. And they're saying they're not intending to meet with him, it says.
With Nagelsmann?
With Nagelsmann. They're not intending to meet with Nagelsmann.
Brendan Rodgers it is.
Well, why is that though, I wonder though? Like, why? Tottenham, just as you think my week can't get any worse, you've just made it a lot worse than what it can get. Thank you very much, Tottenham. You know how to ruin everyone's weekend at the end of a week.
I'm saying from Ali Gold, big news coming out of Spurs and their managerial search. Julian Nagelsmann is not being considered as a candidate for the vacant head coach post, and the club insists they have not met with him and do not intend to. Plenty of respect for the German within the North London club, but he is not being seen as one for them for now. Big decision.
Jack, why did you have to do this to Dave and me at a time like this, mate?
It's either going to be Brendan Rodgers or else they're going to give it to Ryan Mason. That's what it seems. That's what it seems like. Do you know what? I think Mason has the job.
I think they're giving it to Mason.
No, do you know what? I think there's going to be a curveball, and I don't think it's going to be Mason. I think it might be Rodgers, and we're screwed.
I think they're going to give it to...
They might be trying to go for some Mikel Arteta sort of BS kind of thing, like some sort of guy from within. That's crazy.
It's going to be Mason.
I think it might be Rodgers. I'm sorry, Dave, to say this, but I think it actually won't be Mason. It will be Rodgers. That's a kick in the teeth. That's a kick in the teeth.
Nope. Silence is audible from it. Brian, I mean, what is there that you want to talk about, my friend?
Well, I want to get onto the news that you've just said now, because that's a joke. That's a joke. Literally, right? I know Dave has just said that it'll probably be Mason. I don't think it will be, though. I think it's going to be Rodgers. Who? I want people to think. I want people to put in the comments now who thinks it's either going to be Rodgers over Mason. Please. Sorry, I'm taking over the show here a little bit, Dave.
I mean, it's your call, Ryan. I mean, it's your call. You know, we've been here for.
I want to find who thinks it's going to be Rodgers over Mason. Please put a 1 if it's Mason, a 2 if it's Rodgers.
I tell you now, I think it will be. I think it'll be Ryan Mason. I think it's already been agreed, and I think it'll be announced at the end of the season.
Oh, don't. I hope not. But I want to see. I don't know what people think in the chat, but what do you think, Jack? Because this is some. I want to get your opinion on this, Mason or Rodgers.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be Ryan Mason at this stage. I'm either at first I'm sort of just not really gonna. I'm either, if I take this seriously, then I think it's Ryan Mason. If I don't take it seriously, I still think it's Naglesmann. But I don't know what to make of it at the end of the day.
I don't know.
Because with Dan Kilpatrick, he is sort of one that is quite close to the club. He's, I wouldn't say always 100% of the time accurate, but he is one of the more accurate ones. And then now also the fact that Ali Gold has sort of more or less confirmed what he has said is also a bit, sort of, interesting.
Some people say it could be Arnie Slot.
Well, do you know what? If it's good, do you know what? Whoever's putting Arnie Slot, yeah, right. That wouldn't be a bad bet. I would take that now. I would take that if you're giving me no whatever Naglesmann, right? Then I would take an Arnie Slot. But like Tyler thinks it's gonna be Mason. I know, but see, there's a lot of people that think it's gonna be all different people now. To be honest, I don't want it to be either Mason or Rodgers, to be honest. But if you gave me a chance of Arnie Slot, I would love to take that. At the moment, Dave, right? I'm not being funny. I know how you feel about Arnie Slot, or like I said, Arnie Snot. I know that's no laughing matter, but when on my channel, and I know how you feel about him, and Jack, I know how you feel about him. But looking at it, out of the 3 of the potential. If it's going to either be, if you had to choose out of Mason, Rodgers, or Slot now, who would you choose? If you had to choose one, honestly.
I'd say Rodgers probably has the most experience there. I think, I'll be honest, I don't really want any of them, to be honest with you. My first initial choice was Poch. Then, I've always had my reservations about Nagelsmann's private life, but, I've always sort of acknowledged that he could do a good job at Tottenham if that's sorted out. For me, I think any of them 3 names is severely underwhelming, to be honest with you. Look, Mason, I think with Mason, he's more than likely going to use some of the players out on loan. I've no doubt he might look to get some of the young lads in at some stage. But I also believe he will keep an Eric Dier here. I also believe he will keep a Ben Davies here. So how much progression is there really going to be if these guys are still hanging around? And it's like, I get the club may want to give someone like Ryan Mason a chance. I get it. For me, I think it's a huge gamble at the wrong time. It's not a gamble I don't think they can afford to take. Some people are saying, look, you might get a surprise Poch announcement with Pochettino sort of not signed on the dotted line officially at Chelsea and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I think any of them would be underwhelming, Ryan. I don't really see any of them taking Tottenham forward, if you get me. You?
I would probably take Arne Slot before I would take Ryan Mason. I'd actually take Ryan Mason sooner than I would take Xabi Alonso. I think Xabi Alonso was vastly inexperienced. And he also hasn't even managed in the Premier League like whatsoever. I know he's also an extremely young manager, but he's not even had a full season with any sort of team whatsoever. So I don't really think that that's a bit of a crazy one. Postecoglou, I'd sooner go after him than I would go after Ryan Mason. I'd absolutely bring Ange in, but I think he probably has this mindset on Celtic by the looks of things. There's a guy I've always really admired from Salzburg called Matthias Jaisla. But again, we're talking about guys really out of left field. We're talking about guys that really at the end of the day are really young managers with pretty much no experience whatsoever. And you're more just judging them on what sort of their football is and what they might, be able to produce on a given day, not what they can produce over a given season. And that's what we really need, is a guy who has a track record that over the course of a season, he can lead us on to something, he can win us something, because we all want pretty football, but we need pretty football that can actually compete with the very best in the Premier League, as well as also go after a cup competition in some sense. And I'm not sure if Ryan Mason's capable of that. At the end of the day, probably more or less of the list that we've seen, maybe a Ruben Amorim, an Arne Slot, those sort of managers, maybe a Ruben Amorim, I would probably now lean more towards in that case.
Amorim would be a good shout. I like Amorim.
I would be really underwhelmed by the Slot appointment, but I would not be like, I don't think I would doubt him, but I would be a little underwhelmed. I think I'd probably sooner go after Ruben Amorim. I'm also not going to completely rule out the Naglesmann situation. I wouldn't be surprised if this could just be a bit of a hurdle in all of this situation. But if they were to go after Ryan Mason, and if they were to sign Ryan Mason, I think they'd just sort of be signing their own sort of, in a way, their own certificate of just, I think they'll just, everybody with the fan base will be completely against them if they were going to do that. And you also don't want to see that happen to Ryan Mason. I don't really want Ryan Mason to be the receiver of that sort of kind of pressure and that sort of kind of resentment from the club. Then again, though, in his own words, he said he wants it, and he said he wants the pressure. So, I mean, that's what you're going to get. It's extremely underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what?
That could be it as well, Jacob. It could be now that it's sort of the stories are spinning because of the director of football situation and the fact that Naglesmann wanted a huge say and clarity over the transfers. And now they're probably sort of changing the story a little bit. I bet that could be, Jacob might be spot on. If anything, I think Jacob Miller right there might be spot on.
Yeah, and it's annoying because obviously, like, now that has really angered me now. And to be honest, it's getting to the point where I'm only laughing about things now, because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. And I've already gone past, I've had a good cry about Tottenham now. So I need to just laugh about them, just because there's nothing else to do. Like, and it's sad to say, but everything that comes out of here now is we should be expecting. And I know people are going to say, well, it's no laughing matter. But some people don't realise how upsetting it can be for some people. And for someone like me, who has supported the club for God knows how long now, over like 20 years, I think over 20 years, right? 21 years to be exact. It's kind of like I've gone through bad times. And anyway, I won't go into it all now, because obviously you can see it on my channel what I've had to say about that, to all the people in the comments. But it's like I've gone past the crying stage now, Dave. I've actually cried for this club, and now I can't shed any more tears for this club. I've got to look at it now and laugh, because I'm just going to keep crying otherwise. And I can't keep crying over something that I can't change. But I've got to laugh, because otherwise, what else have I got to do? Can we all do? Do you know what I mean? And I feel sorry for the people that have actually had to deal with all this, especially if they're the younger fans who are only just getting into Tottenham. They're the ones I feel sorry for.
Fucking joke. It's an absolute bloody joke. I've had enough. But Rhino,
yeah.
Oh, sorry that you're on when we all got delivered a bit of bad news there, my man. But what can people look for over on your channel, my man?
Well, after this, you'll be seeing me again in the next 5 minutes on my channel. I'm going to be going live. So if anyone wants to come over and have their say about this, after when Dave and Jack have finished up, I'll be on for a while. So if anyone wants to come over, please come over, have your say. I'll even put the link out in the post so someone can come on and have a chat with me. Because it's becoming a joke now that this club, but there will be other things coming up, but I can't even go on about that at the moment because after hearing that news, I can't even go on about anything else, about what else is coming on because it's becoming a joke. The only other thing I can really say that will be a definite will be the transfer news that will be coming up at the beginning of the first Monday of the transfer window opening on the Monday. And I'm actually been thinking about this as well. I know you probably don't want to be thinking about it at this time, both of you. But on deadline day, I was thinking of getting you both on to see what you lot think.
Yeah, deadline day is a long way, but yeah, we'll put something together, Ron. We'll put something together.
We'll sort something out. We probably won't be able to do as long as many people would like us to do because we'll probably be in demand out there. But we'll definitely sort out an hour for sure, Ryan. No problem at all.
Yeah.
But look, Ryan, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, brother. We've got KPV next, and then we'll be ending off. So everyone, click on the link here, get over to Rhino's our channel, and have a conversation with the guy. Rhino, big yourself up, my man, and we'll speak again, everybody.
See you soon, my man.
Yeah, cheers.
See you soon, Rhino. See you soon, my man. Oh, that's deflating. 24C says, what's happening, Dave? Is it the Naglesmann thing, the main one? Yeah, it's the main one. And then, look, they put out a bit of news later going, Kulusevski's remaining at Tottenham now. When are we going to get the manager situation sorted out? If the fans don't exactly believe in the choice, I don't 100% think that the players are going to believe in the choice either, to be honest with you. It's sad. It's sad. Look, Ryan Mason may well come in and do a good job, and if he does get the job, I will give him a chance. I will give him an opportunity. I'm just not sure it's the right appointment at such a critical stage of our football club, being brutally honest, Jack.
Yeah, I think
we are going to give him a chance if he gets the job, right? Let's be honest about it. But
I don't think I would ever resent Ryan Mason at all. Like in any case, like in him taking the job, I don't think he is at all qualified or is at all capable of taking the job. But I don't think I would slate him for ultimately taking it. It just sort of feels like everybody knows that this club is deeply headed backwards. And like Harry Kane was saying, even in his own interview, very capable of slipping back into a 10th or 11th place position in the league. Why on earth would you hire one of the least experienced managers in order to do that? Why on earth, when the Premier League is only getting harder and harder and harder? You have Aston Villa with, Unai Emery as their manager. You have Brighton, competing with the very best. Like the whole Premier League has practically become the Super League. And you're willing to throw in a guy like Ryan Mason and just sort of have him learn on the go and just sort of have him learn on the run. It just seems really silly. Arsenal did the same thing with Mikel Arteta, but they were sort of lucky, like not even that lucky. They suffered for a while, I guess, under him, like in that case. And I guess eventually it sort of worked out in some manner, but I don't even know if Ryan Mason has had nearly as much experience as an assistant manager as even Mikel Arteta had before he actually, took the job over at Arsenal. That's the other thing. He's proven that he's not an idiot, like I said, Ryan Mason, but that doesn't grant him then the opportunity to get this job. I think he should. It's scary. I think that's what's scary. I think if Naglesmann has been out of the race, I don't think everybody should be crying and moaning and, complaining over that. There's still hopefully the chance of other managers that are still well and qualified that could take it. But if it does end up being a Ryan Mason, I think that is where, I think best of luck to Levy. Best of luck to, ENIC and everything, because they are really putting a target on their back if that's the case.
Yeah,
but I think with
sure.
Nagelsmann, I think if you end up with a Ruben Amorim, you end up with a Postecoglou, you end up with somebody else, let's say, or like a Luis Enrique. I mean, yes, people are probably a little bit saddened that it's not Nagelsmann, but I mean, it's different than like a Ryan Mason, like going from what everybody expects to be Nagelsmann the manager and then to Ryan Mason. Like, that's just such a drop off. I don't think fans can accept.
I just want to know what goes through these owners' head. I mean, Marcelo hits it spot on here. First of all, big up, Marcelo. Hopefully you're keeping well, dude. He says, let me get this straight. 99% of the fan base wanted either Poch or Nagelsmann, but they decide to rule both out without speaking to them. Is this club a social experiment? I mean, look, they were never ever going to bring Poch back because it's a big admission of guilt, right? Undermines their tenure even more. So they're not going to play that card. Nagelsmann, I feared we did speak to him. I fear he's rejected us. That's my opinion on it. I think they would have been stupid not to reach out and have any conversations with him. I reckon they have spoken to him, sounded him out. Maybe, the stumbling block has been the recruitment. I'd say that's probably been it. You want me to be brutally honest? I mean, appointing Ryan Mason, like Jack says, good luck to them guys. They put the target on their own back. Look, Mason, I think it's important that fans don't blame him. I do think it's important that fans try and give him a go. He's the one put in this position. You've only got to go one way, and that's got to go upstairs with the frustrations and stuff like that. It's madness. It's absolutely madness, Marcelo. Big yourself up, my man. Look, let's end this. Let's get KPV on, and then we're going to end off here because I feel like I'm going to break a few windows around my apartment. But look, let's get KPV on. KPV, you there, buddy? He is. KPV, how you keeping, dude?
I'm keeping a little bit okay, not all, probably
Mason
not.
is next manager? Did you not say that Monday?
What?
Did you say Mason is next manager on Monday? You did, no? Or last Friday? Last time I was speaking to you, I'm pretty sure you said, you wouldn't mind Mason getting the job, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Mason because he's Tottenham through and through, and I don't think he'll go anywhere like Championship. Like, he played for Hull City when they were in the Prem, but so he's played for relegation team, but yeah, he retired at the end of the season. So at least he didn't get relegated as a player, though. He retired and didn't get relegated.
True.
KPV, Dave seems really upset that he's got to cancel his skinny jeans order. Since,
it's not that, Jack. It's just like, do you know what it is? I just didn't want Ryan Mason getting the job. I just, I didn't want it from the very off. That's more what I'm pissed off about.
Well, it's not like Ryan Mason is getting the job, Dave. And like I said, it still has the chance of being an RNA slot. Still has the chance of being an Amorim. I know you're sort of putting two and two together, logically putting two and two together and thinking it's going to be Ryan Mason, but it's not like, it is yet.
Yeah,
and he's still like King Hoddle put in the comments. He still has 3 more games to play. Like, they'd be a bit silly to give it to Ryan Mason. Let's say he loses against Villa, Dave, and ends up losing 3-0 or something like that. Would you give the job to Ryan Mason if he loses to Aston Villa tomorrow? Absolutely not. I think he's got to win these games. He's got to win more games in order to even be considered for it.
Yeah, but I also think they'll take in consideration the job he done after Jose Mourinho as well, I do fear that will probably be taken into consideration. Look, let's wait and see what happens. For all we know,
I think he's still got to win some games in order for them to give it to him. I think that would be because, like I said, if they were to give it to him, like, and then he loses 4-0 tomorrow, like that would look even more ridiculous then.
Look, they could be well that the club are running into a position where maybe the job isn't as attractive to managers as once they thought. They could end up just having to give it to Mason. You don't know. Look, let's wait and see what happens. I just fear.
I think it's what Tyler is saying. I think they might consider Mason more if he does get Europe. Like, if he does get Europa League or something like that, they will sadly probably consider him quite convincingly. But I don't think they're considering him that seriously right now, considering like he still has so many more games to play, like, or not so many more, but he's still got like, you know, a season defining games like still like coming up. Like
Yeah,
that
I
would be,
agree.
that'd
I
be,
agree.
yeah, that'd be
I
a bit
agree.
odd.
Look, let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's wait. I mean, look, they were very quick to give Stellini the job after Conte. You know, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll tell Primark Dave to cancel the skinny jeans order for you, and as well as you know, the oat milk. You know, cancel that as well.
They came today, Jack. I was trying them on. I was having my oat milk lattes today. I sat there, skinny jeans, oat milk latte. I was ready.
I mean, you were preparing, and you're going to have to go back to the normal thing, Dave. You know, just, you know, some regular trainers and the whole lot. But KPV, Kulusevski, he's confirming his future with us. Are you happy about that? But or not confirming, but it looks like maybe that rumor is putting some cold water on him leaving.
Kulu's going to be a Tottenham player next season. I expect that, and he is. So good news. But what you just said, what's that about Kulu? Can you repeat? I couldn't hear you, mate.
Oh, Kulusevski. He's confirmed his future with us in some regard. It looks like he's more likely to stay than he is, you know, going to leave. And there was a bit of worry that he was going to leave KPV.
Well, it's good he's going to stay because I've still got the shirt with his name on. So my friend is going to stay. So the ginger from Sweden, like, end of the debate, people. Kulu is going into the starting 11. The combined 11 when the North London derby is next season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So I don't know why Sim put Saka ahead of him in January. That's a bit silly, Sim. So you can think about that in Well, whenever we played them at the start of the new season, like not the Emirates at the start of the season, because we always seem to play them away when the new season normally begins in the October or November time. We always seem to play away first, not home. Like the Premier League just don't like us. Like Premier League, do your job and at least put Tottenham at home to Arsenal when the new season comes back.
How do you fancy our chances tomorrow, KPV? Do you have any confidence, or do you feel like Villa are just gonna, you know, like especially away from home, KPV? We haven't been looking too great. So how do you fancy the chances tomorrow?
I said to Sim and Ashmatic on Meal Tottenham TV that I'm going for 4-0 win against Villa as it was at their ground last season. Son hat-trick and Kulu got 1. So hoping for a repeat. 2 seasons in a row. In fact, 3 seasons in a row we've beaten Aston Villa at there. So 19, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 4 seasons in a row beating them at theirs would be nice. So it
different
can be
proposition under Emery though, right? KPV. You know, it's a bit different to when we went up there last year. They're a team, they're pushing for Europe, they're going in the right direction. You know, and they're hard to beat recently, so a bit of a different game though.
I know they've got the ex-Gooner manager who is unbeaten against us, but we need to end his streak against us tomorrow. Like, his record against us is good, but our record against him ain't great. Like, we've never beaten him, but people don't know we actually beat him in a Carabao Cup a couple of seasons ago, so he's only lost once. So the streak is still over for him because we only beat him once. That was in a Carabao Cup, not Prem. So he's only lost once, and that was the Carabao Cup. So he isn't really unbeaten. Only lost once. So unbeaten streak is over, fella. Premier League is going to be over tomorrow for him. Yeah, so I think he's won at least 2 and drawn. 2 actually. Yeah, that was at Arsenal. Yeah, 2019, 2 draws, Premier League. So hopefully he can end that streak tomorrow in the Premier League. Still unbeaten, but want to end his unbeaten streak against Tottenham tomorrow. Villa, revenge after on New Year's Day, losing 2-0. Like, the players just clearly didn't fight for the badge. So tomorrow, like I say, stick with the same lineup. Dier on the bench, kept clean sheet. So hoping for a repeat 2 clean sheets in a row, and then got Brentford and then Leeds. So the last home game's next weekend. So if we can keep the same lineup, like don't change a winning team, is what Conte kept doing. Don't change a winning team. He didn't do it for a few times, but he done it afterwards. So don't change a winning team, Ryan. Keep the same lineup. I know Lloris is out for the remainder of the season, and he looks set to go to Saudi Arabia, I heard.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if he look. I'll be honest. If I was Hugo Lloris, I'd take the massive payday. 36 years of age, 300 grand a week. Look, I mean, that's sort of retirement money, isn't it? You know, it's propping up your retirement fund. Look, I'd probably take it, especially when I know I'm nowhere near at the level. But KPV, you're big on Tottenham players being snubbed for things. Harry Kane, snubbed out of the Footballer of the Year, out of the running for it. What's your thoughts on that?
Not good, man. Another award has been snubbed off, like the Player of the Year 2 seasons ago when he got most goals and assists, and he didn't win PFA Player of the Year. Kevin De Bruyne won it again. Seriously, the Premier League just don't like him. Or the PFA, whatever their name is, they just don't like him. Son got robbed of it last season. Son was robbed. Kane has been robbed again. Richarlison got robbed of the Puskas Award for his 2 goals for Brazil in the World Cup. So 3 Spurs players have been robbed. Like Dele Alli, Kane did win it before. That was the young Player of the Year, though. Kane did.
Yeah.
Bale's won it. I don't think Teddy Sheringham has won it for Tottenham. I don't think he ever won it. So at least Kane has won it, but that was the young one. Bale's won the PFA Player of the Year, but the Football Writers Award is what he was robbed of. Like, come on. He's had the best scoring season. I know Son hasn't had a good one, but I know Kane has had a better season than him. So robbing Kane off yet another award, disrespect, BBC. Disrespect, fellas. Like, they clearly just said, you know what, we'll give it to Haaland because he's had a better season. Kane's been catching him for the Golden Boot, and it looks like Haaland's going to win it. Like, fair enough. First time to win it, but that'll only be the only time he wins it. Then better look next season, Haaland, but ain't going to win it back-to-back like Robin Van Persie. Back-to-back. No chance. You ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
Kane will do it next season. And, but Kane being robbed of yet another award, disrespect. Like, why have they decided to snub him? Like, not right. Need answers, people. Need answers.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more, KPV. We got to go and do some detective work on these guys. I could not agree more, my man. Look, I'll leave the floor open to you. Any other talking points you wanna mention before we let you go, brother?
Probably a few more. Like, Villa is going to be tough, I know, like I said, but going to be tough. I want to win tomorrow. Like, we'll go on 60 points. Sim said if we win, they'll put us on 60. But teams fighting for Conference League, I don't want Conference League. Like I said to Sim, like, give me Europa League. We can win that, then get back into the UCL Champions League. Like, Champions League anthem better than Europa League anthem, man. They're saying Europa League anthem's better than Champions League anthem. Nah, like.
No Arsenal fans say that because they're so used to it.
Well, they're not going to win the Champions League now. They're back in it. Like, no one cares. If they get Bayern Munich or stages, and they'll be in Europa League. Like, when February comes around next year, like, they just won't be staying in the Champions League for long. So, good luck, Gooners, but enjoy while it lasts. Like, you ain't going to be staying in it. They'll never win it. Like, if they get Real Madrid, they'll just lose. Like, they've got better players than Arsenal have. So, see you later, everyone. But, you need a win tomorrow. Revenge against Villa is what's needed. Yep. And Kane on the score sheet again. He's now, 10 headers in the Prem this season. It's on Spurs Play. Watch it on the Spurs app, people, if you got it. And, win tomorrow, then bring on Brentford last game of the season, last home game, and then Leeds. So,
all right, KPV. Alrighty, my man. Who's letting the dogs out tomorrow? And then we'll let you go.
Who's letting the dogs out? Oh, God. Anyone else I missed? Brian Daigle has.
Alrighty. Best of luck to him. Best of luck to him.
Yeah.
Well, KPV, we'll be seeing you, my friend. And hopefully Big H delivers the goods for us tomorrow, because it looks like Dave is going to really need him to do that.
Kane can deliver a hat-trick or at least a few goals. But Son back on the score sheet. Kulu needs to get back on the score sheet as well. Like, hopefully a few of them can score then. Bring on the last 2 games. So, anyway, enjoy the weekend, people, and hopefully we'll be talking about that win on Monday.
Yeah, hopefully so, KPV. Hopefully so, my man. Well, KPV, you go and enjoy FIFA Weekend League, my man. We'll speak next time, all right?
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys.
See you, buddy.
See you, KPV.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Another fan show done and dusted. So that's what the fans have to say on all things Tottenham. Very disappointing news there coming towards the end of the show. What can you do? Where do we go next? I suppose that's the biggest question. All you could do is wait and see. Look, that's it from myself and Jacko. We'll be back here tomorrow for the pre-match pump-up or build-up and the watch-along. Big game tomorrow. You know, we beat Aston Villa. We'll definitely, I think, sort of qualify for Europe. So it's a must-win tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully we can get the job done and the 3 points. And look, you know, hopefully it can take, you know, tomorrow can take our mind off maybe the bigger picture of what's going on, at least even just for a couple of hours anyway. But Jack, anything you want to say before we finish up?
Massive game tomorrow, everybody. Hopefully we see you there with us for it. Like Dave said, it's basically the make or break when it comes to any sort of European football, I think, in general. Tomorrow we'll see if we have the sort of medal for it. And then also, of course, I think what looks to be maybe a massive week ahead and what could be some bad breaking news maybe ahead, you know, of this upcoming week. But maybe it also might be, will be put in sort of suspension and put in sort of a, you know, some sort of dark, you know, for a long time as well. I bet we've been probably dropped this sort of news and then we won't get anything, you know, for the next few weeks as well. And we'll be left only to speculate. But hopefully everybody just stick by us, continue to, you know, try to sort of ride through this with us. And then also as well, just sort of, you know, keep, you know, I guess stick by the Harris Army, and the Harris Army we trust, I guess, at this stage.
Yeah, in the Harris Army we trust. The only people I have to trust, you know. You guys have been absolutely great for me, keeping me sort of motivated and going this season, you know, in terms of Tottenham. It's been very, very disappointing and underwhelming, to be honest with you. But tomorrow's a must win. You know, a lot can change in a year or over the course of a season. We've seen that this season compared to last season. Hopefully next season will be better for us all. But guys, I'll wake up tomorrow, pumped up, excited for the game. Hopefully you guys will join me for that. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the Irish Hotspur Army, we trust, and we'll be seeing you.
Everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Everywhere we go.